Welcome back to the Daily Dose Plus. This is the Upon Reflection segment. So, tey nag suñu eti maam bu yaaga nekk si diggi état bi bu ñu wax ne ñun ñëpp kenn bu mu ko laal yaaga na foofu noonu nag xam nga so taw bi dóor na ko pënde na lu nekk fekk na ko so moom lañ bugg a jël te tuuti rek xal ko fompa tuuti tegaat ko décorer ko su gaa yi gisaatee xam nga xam ne eti maam baa nekkaat nii so pour xale yu understand loolu moo nekkaat the elephant in the room, the big elephant that is in all the houses, all the rooms. Te ñëpp ñu ngi koo gis. And I mean, people do have conversations about it here and there, but then we just want to amplify it now on a national level because gis nañ ne problem bu rëy la suñ society right now. So when we say the elephant in the room, we're talking about the rising trend of hard drugs in Gambia right now. We're in 2025. I think it's safe to say waxtaan bi duñ si boole léegi Thai, which is bushweed. But léegi bay graduate nañ si ñu ngi si yeneen ñu ngi si gaaw naaw bi.
That's very true.
Zalzal yi, pills yi, all kinds of names, Punisher yi, Molly, Coke yi, crack yi, yëpp mu ngi si town bi. So I mean, and then ñu ngi gis effects yi tamit léegi. It's becoming visible for laaxa yaa ngi gis. Koo xamoon before ak soo ko xoolaatee léegi. So and then I mean, I think it's safe to say in each of our communities we know people who are a victim of this.
True.
But then before we dive deep into the topic, I'll introduce the guest we have with us today. Co-hosting with me is Gando. I think everyone knows Gando now. No need to introduce him. And after him, we have Mr. William Greywood. I'd say a success story, I'd call it, because William Greywood has been a victim of drug abuse. And then with the help of God and himself, he's fought that battle of his that battle at that period of his life, and then dem na ba léegi mu ngi job mu ngi dimbale boppam, and then benn life boppu behind them. And I guess if we're talking about drugs and we don't bring someone who's lived it and experienced it, and duñ mutal waxtaan wi. And on this side we have Mr. Sparklyn Black. Moom tamit I guess jarut needed much introduction. He's the only guy in Gambia with 3 degrees, so he with us 3 degrees. And he's been a firm advocate, I would say, of drug abuse through his music for a very long time. And he's one of the few who's preaching positivity within our society, and that's a great thing to acknowledge as well. And after him, we have Mr. Dauda Sanyang. He's the Senior Drug Demand Reduction Officer at the DLEAG, Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Before we start, I'll just let you guys introduce yourself personally, and then we just get into the conversation. We can start with you,
Thank you. Good evening to our wonderful viewers. My name's Dauda Sanyang. I work with the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the unit called Drug Demand Reduction Media and Publicity Unit of the agency.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum all the viewers. My name is Mohammed Silla, known as Sparklyn Black. I am a musician, songwriter, and also a street advocate, you know.
Voice of the youth, they call it. Mr. Greywood.
Okay. I'm William Greywood. I'm working currently at Innovax. I also had drug user. Like I've been using drugs for almost at least 10 years plus. I've been using drugs, and I've seen the impact that drugs have dealt with my life, the past years, because I've said that I've lost at least a decade, like half of my youthful time, just been controlled by drugs and just been manipulated by peer pressure. So thanks be to God that today I'm much more sober. I'm handling my life and I'm picking up. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we'll just start with Mr. Sanyang. When we say hard drugs, we want, because you're the person here, I guess, who's on the side of law enforcement.
Sure.
So when we say what are hard drugs technically?
Thank you very much. When it comes to the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, there are two types of drugs that we fought. There are those that we call prohibited drugs. These are drugs that are prohibited by law. Cannabis, the most abused drug, is one of them. Heroin is a prohibited drug. Cocaine is a prohibited drug. Skunk, cannabis ruderalis, is another prohibited drug. Kush, all these are drugs that are prohibited. That means if you are found with these drugs, they have right to arrest you and take you to the station and charge you for being in possession of prohibited drugs, contrary to the section in the Drug Control Act 2003. So there are others too we call controlled drugs. So Graham is here. He works at one of the hospitals or pharmacies or something.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
these are drugs that are controlled. That means it is only going to be a doctor that is going to prescribe these drugs for you to use these drugs. They are tablets. But we have seen today that some of our youth are abusing those drugs even without any prescription. So if the Drug Law Enforcement Agency found these drugs with you, if you said it is a doctor that give it to you, they have to see the prescription first. So we call them over-counter drugs. So unless and until you have a prescription, that is the time you can go to any pharmacy that sells these controlled drugs, and then you will be given by the pharmacist or the doctor or whosoever is taking care of these drugs. Even if you go to our hospitals, major hospitals, these drugs are controlled by doctors. They have a special safe where they have to put these drugs and how it is dispensed. So the Drug Law Enforcement Agency also have the right to go and inspect these hospitals and pharmacies, how they are dispensing these medications. We've even given them a file where they are going to write what they receive, what is dispensed, what is left, and even if it is expired, you have to keep it safe. When we come for inspection, then and there you show us this is expired and this is how it is being saved. And once it is expired, you have to return it to medical central store. These are the people that have to dispense these drugs that are expired, because they are very, very expensive. And equally, these drugs can be manufactured into anything. Even atomic bombs, you can use them to prepare an atomic bomb. So these are the two types of drugs that we fought. But the hard drugs that you're talking about, these are drugs that are manufactured in clandestine laboratories, like cocaine. If I tell you that how they prepared cocaine, because we have documentaries in this, there's none among us here who is going to eat cement.
No.
There's none here who is going to eat kerosene.
No.
But if they are to prepare this cocaine, they will gather cocoa leaves, put kerosene and other cement and other chemicals that they don't want you, the consumer, to know. Heroin too, the same thing. All these ecstasies that we are talking about, they are prepared in clandestine laboratories. But they don't want you to know the chemical composition of these substances. The only thing they want you to feel is once you take it in, you feel the pleasure we call euphoria. And then you'll be say, oh, this is good. So, and we all know what drug did to us. Once you take in drugs, it reacts with your CNS. So this is the one that is controlling your system. The informations are sent from the brain to the rest of your body, from the rest of the body to the brain. And obviously, once it reacts with your neurons, so there will be no communication. That's what we call psychomotor. So there will be no communication between you, the rest of your body, to the brain, and from the brain to the rest of your body.
True.
So obviously, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency recently, we have seen already that there is a surge in these drugs in the country. You even mentioned Molly. These are new psychoactive substances that we are not in the country, but we've seen these drugs are emanating in the country. And it is our own brothers and our own sisters that are in abroad that are sending these drugs to the country.
So as far as you guys know, it's our sisters and brothers that are bringing it
Yes.
here. There's no one manufacturing any of it in the Gambia or anything. It's
So-
all coming from outside.
Exactly. Even skunk, the first arrest was at the post office.
Post office.
Yes, and the huge seizure of skunk, equally, it is somebody in America who is sending it to the mom here. This guy saying that these
To
are
his mom.
foodstuffs. These are foodstuffs
Okay.
that he is sending to the mom. On the whole, all this cannabis skunk, almost 900 parcels.
Sheesh.
Wow.
That's huge.
Mr. Sparklyn, you've had what
it is
the
very
drug law
right.
enforcement is saying. From your own point of view, what are you seeing in the streets now that you were not seeing, say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
The drug has definitely exploded now. And not only the drug, but we are seeing the results.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing people that are directly affected. You know, I see girls that I would have, the girls that I was asking out last year, this year they're totally mad because of a drug. And so we are not disputing that there is drug everywhere. Now, what we need to look at is how did the drug get here? And how does it get expand? How does it reach everyone within a very short period of time? Because the problem is that in 2020, in 2017, 2018, 2019, up to 2020, we were not experiencing this. So we can say in a period of 5 years, Gambia has registered more than 500 youths that are already off the line. Not to talk of the people that are already addict, but they're still with their senses. So in 5 years, if we can record that in a distance of between Banjul up to Burfoot, you know, that's such short kilometers. And if we can achieve all this damage within 5 years, something is wrong.
Very.
Yes.
Because these are not drugs that is easy to convince people to use. So how do we end up getting there?
And how accessible it is right now as well.
That is because the access point is very easy. It's very easy to access. Like I have been in the street all my life, but I started seeing hard drug less than 3 years. We don't even know it.
Definitely.
Okay, but the fact that it's reaching us is not our fault. And I believe this drug case is not just drug. I think it's a program, because it's only a program that can, spread this fast. I think there are people behind this who try to make our youth psycho,
True.
and then after they can put in the agenda or whatever they wanted to do with us. And the risk here is now, I think it's even easy to control, because these are not homemade drugs.
Okay.
So, and it's very scary. If drug is coming through the plane, through airport, that is scary. With all the machines. If drug is coming from post office or DHL, that is scary. These things normally we smuggle them. They don't even need to, they have to use vehicle, maybe drive from here to Holland. But if these things are so easy that they can just come in, it's like, come on.
Mr. Sanya, what
Yes.
is the mandate of the drug squad?
The drug law enforcement
Because,
agency.
just before we get there, if you ask any typical Gambian about drug squad, all we know about drug squad is ganyo. And all we see visibly the drug squad is doing is getting into the street and arresting the users. But the users are not the ones bringing in these drugs. So what is the mandate of the drug squad itself, and what measures are you guys taking at these entry points? Because they're just coming through borders and entry points like airports and all of this. So what measures are you guys taking?
Thank you very much. The drug law enforcement agency's mandate is to make sure they regulate all the affairs relating to drugs in the Gambia, because it is the lead security institution that is mandated by law to regulate anything related to drugs and related matters. So the Drug Law Enforcement Agency fight drugs in two folds. Previously, they only arrest and prosecute people, but internationally now the ball have changed. So equally, we have our men on ground. They have to go and arrest and prosecute. That one have to go. But equally, we have the drug demand reduction unit that is basically to sensitize the youths about the effects of drugs. And that sensitization has paid dividend, because we've been to schools. I can say we've been to more than 100 schools in the Gambia here. And equally, we try to make sure that we form drug-free clubs in schools. And those drug-free clubs will serve as advocacy groups in schools, so that those that are coming up, we call them, catch them young, so that those students will not go into these illicit drugs and other stuffs. And equally, we have radio program that we run in concurrently. Even today, I was at GRTS. Every Thursday, GRTS. Every Friday, Star FM. And every Saturday, Alpha Islamic Radio. And equally, we have community sensitization that we do. We've partnered with almost, I can say, more than 30 CSOs, where we build their capacities on school on drugs and other substances. And equally, it does not always stop there. We engage into community sensitizations. We partnered with Gambia Scout Association, the Gambia Red Cross Association, and other relevant institutions and associations that are in the country. But when it comes to drugs, it's a chain work. Sparklyn mentioned it here. We have our borders, and we have designated borders. All the designated borders in the country here, we have our official station there. But people that are dealing in drugs, they will not use those designated borders to enter into the country. They will use the porous border. We all know our borders are porous.
True.
So they will use those porous borders and pay people specifically so that they can enter with these substances into the country. But we have said already that the inbounds, the drug law enforcement, recently, if you follow our page on Facebook, you see already that we've arrested many people that are coming from Europe, entering into the country with drugs.
Is that through the airport?
Exactly, through the airport or the seaport.
So also when you say pay people, who are these people that they're paying?
It is our own Gambian brothers that they will pay to make sure that they smuggle these drugs. And, I mentioned it here that
through law enforcement agencies.
Either is a law enforcement official or law enforcement officials. And you can go back to our page on Facebook and you see to read that even our law enforcement officials, some of them are arrested and currently they are going to mile 2. The case is still ongoing. It is a chain work. They will try to make sure that they implicate you. We all know money is something that is enticing.
Sure.
You as a government official, how much are you paid? And then somebody come and approach you and tell you, okay, let me give you 17,000 euro.
Yeah.
Do you think it is easy? But it is also in the Drug Control Act that you as an individual, as a law enforcement officer, if you involve into this, we are professional standard and disciplinary committee.
Yeah.
But maybe we might not know, but you as an individual or a community or whosoever you are, if you see that individual, you have right to come to our office and report the matter with evidence. We will investigate. We have sent our officers home because of those professional misconduct that they are doing when it comes to drugs and other substances. And Sparklyn mentioned it here. The past 5 years, we have the records here. 2020 is almost 691 people that the Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrested. So 2021, it increases to 799 people. And then in 2022, it goes down to 650. Then 2023, it goes down to 633 people. And this 2024, it goes up. 1,219 people that the Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrested.
Yes,
And when you
that's
say arrested, is it hard drugs or?
All the people that are arrested, we're coming to that. All the drugs that are arrested, we're going to say the number of drugs, the quantities. So you see to it that cannabis, in 2020, 2 tons of cannabis was arrested.
In 2020.
In 2020. So in
2 tons of cannabis.
Yes.
So when you say cannabis, that's bushweed.
Yes, cannabis sativa.
Okay.
So in 2021, again, it rises to 2 tons, 823 kilograms.
So 823
Yes.
kilograms.
So in 2022, it goes down a bit, 1 ton, 838 kilograms. So in 2023, it goes up again to 195 kilograms.
That's about a ton.
Exactly. So in 2024, it goes down a bit, 1,922 kilograms, 1 ton, 922 kilograms of cannabis.
So this is just cannabis.
This is just cannabis that I am talking to you about.
So it
So
doesn't
sometimes
include.
it goes down and then it fluctuates.
Yeah.
So these tons of cannabis that we're talking about, if these tons of cannabis escape and go into the market, that means it is our youth that are going to consume this. So, and the progression of use of drugs is like this. Some of them will start from alcohol or tobacco.
Sure.
Then from there, you move. From that, you say, okay, let me also try cannabis and see.
Yeah.
In that, what they will do? They will blend cannabis with cannabis resin, hashish,
Yeah.
a cocktail. Some will even take cannabis, sprinkle some alcohol on it, and dry it under the shade, and then add ashes to it and then smoke, so that they can get the euphoria that they initially has. So from that, they will graduate and say, okay, now they move to crack, because you cannot be able to afford a pure cocaine. That one, you don't have that money. But these people will adulterate this cocaine to make sure that there is a presence of cocaine, tramadol.
Tramadol, true.
Exactly.
True.
And when we go on operation, sometimes tramadol, when you go to the hospital, how many milligrams do you have there? Might be 50 milligrams?
Yeah, or 100.
100 milligrams.
Yeah.
But the ones that we arrest is 150 milligrams or 125 milligrams.
Most of them are from Ghana.
Exactly.
Yeah, most of them
So
are
those
from Ghana.
are drugs that are from outside the country and they are smuggled into the country. You as an individual, you take in 125 milligrams.
Yes, that's way too
Will your brain be able to condone that?
Because I can recall sometimes in Banjul, like most of the people there, they will go and line up to the psycho ward, like saying that they have psychological problems.
So that
and they will give them the Lacatine and they will go and use that one. And when you see them, I mean, it's very strange. You can see somebody just stand like this, like
That is what is happening,
muscles
because
freeze,
push is a mixture
it's
of
very
this.
crazy.
Lacatine is there, Naxatine is there, and then you have tramadol in it. So you as an individual, you put these things into your system, obviously.
Yeah,
you
you go,
look like
you go
a zombie.
into those, yeah.
So Mr. Greywood,
Yeah.
how did your journey with drugs start?
Yeah, my journey with drugs started after school.
High school.
Yeah, after school, because the community that I grew up in, we saw all the elders selling, smoking, doing, but you dare not to. You dare not to. Even paper, if you smoke paper at the time when we were young, we like to smoke this paper and this, but when they catch you, it's a big problem. Yeah, I could recall one day, my brother caught us, and he gave us like amphoda. He said, now just smoke it and don't release no flame or no smoke. Like you be taking it deep. But before that, for the end, your tears start falling and your head start, it's giving you that fuzzy feeling and heavy. From there, then he took the amphoda and, take a sip and then put it on the white cloth like this and show us the effect of what we're doing to ourselves. From that day, he told her that I'll not beat or tell you what to do again, but this is that. So after school, I was very close with one of my sister, like, cousin sister. But we were that close. Everything that he does, our relationship, everything that she does, she comes to me, and anything that I do, she comes to me. Sometimes, when I was doing music, when I go late, she will be the one that will be backing me, because my aunt, she's very well. But she got sick, like, for 2 years. We don't know what's wrong with her. Afrimed, every time we be paying, like, whole heap of money. Senegal, same thing, everything. So we spent 2 years not knowing, and every time she's in pain, she's in this, until she lost her life. From there, me and my brother, we be going, every time talking, and all those things. So I started it was giving me that comfort because I grew up in a house where we drink. You know, even my dad will tell you, hey, but drink if you're tired, you go and sleep. You know, but I quit drinking because I see that when I smoke, I have that relief. You know, I just take everything easier. So as I was going, I could not rap. You know, I could not do. So I like go to different people, sit there just to have some comfort. But some of them use these cracks and use other drugs because kush, I can remember it was here a long time ago, but people don't know it. Even the ones that were bringing it were afraid. They were calling it the black weed, you know. So most of them, you know, most of those people were in those things. So I did not know. I was just smoking and all those things. My guys, they know that I was smoking after. But sometimes when I come home, when they see my appearance, when they see my behavior, they will be like, boy, today, you know, definitely you didn't touch weed. You know what I'm
So
saying?
are you saying, so just not to cut you, but you started with amphora technically.
Paper.
No,
Paper.
I started smoking paper.
Started smoking paper.
Yes, yes.
And then later
And
amphora
yes, no, amphora. I
was
did
just
not.
that moment.
Yeah,
for
it
you.
was that
And
morning.
then the first
that was,
drug was
Thank you. The first drug that I was using, I can call it alcohol.
alcohol.
Because yeah, we grew up in an akukum house and all those things, so it was normal to us. So you know, as a kid, even you know when your dad and uncles are sitting, so that you come, wait, come and have a sip. You have a sip on all those things, you know. So I grew up in that, you know, type of home. So when I graduated after school, this incidents happened. So I started, you know, we went to a party, then I smoked weed, and I saw that, but this thing is making my mind free, and I'm happy,
So
joking, laughing.
weed was the first experience.
So yeah, it was the first experience, you know. So then I started, you know, going. So when I was going, you know, I was going to Manjai, Kololi, Senegambia, and all those things.
Where are these specific places?
Huh?
Where are these specific places?
Mostly music. Music was driving me there because I was recording by the side, and after I was enrolled to the talent house at Senegambia, so I was going there frequently. You know, yeah, and taking this. Going to those, and there was one of my koto at Sene, you know, he told me one day, he was like, boy, come, you know, I came, he said, I like you, I see that you come in here, you learning, you know, music and all those things, so, you know, you have a bright future, but most of the people you smoke in here with are using heroin and all those stuff, you know, and some of them, they mix it, because I once saw one of my koto, you know, he was doing and, you know, doing that. When I saw it, but that was, you know, recently after when I, you know, had all those experience. So I saw that even when they smoke until the last, you know, they will take it and, you know, spread it on the weed and smoke. So then I get to realize that, whoa, you know, these things that I was doing, like smoking with everybody, like going and having comfort with others, you know, impacted in my life. Until then, I did not know what I was doing, and I lose myself. Because after that, when I graduated, when the situation started, I left home. You know, I left home.
You left home.
Yes.
And within how many years after you graduated did this happen?
It's just a year.
Within 1 year.
Yeah, that's why I said that my youthful days, like half of my youthful days, were wasted. You know, because I had no direction, I had no life, and if people, even my cousin brother, my brother Silky, when he sees me that time, he cries. Boy,
So
I
you got
don't mind.
consumed.
Yeah, because I was consumed. I was go. Everybody in my family like had give up. You understand? I was, you know, taken from estate straight back, you know, home where I was, you know, kept because they don't want to take me to the tanka thingy, you know. So I was at home taking the lacatine and all those things. You know, sleep at night, I could not sleep. You know, do certain things, my veins or my body parts start freezing up. You know, I start, you know, acting more weird. Then I just decided to myself that definitely I don't want to live this life. And plus the family and the place that I, you know, grow up, you know, they teach you more of resilience. So then I start, you know, tell them that I'm not going to take these drugs. And from there, I start, you know, reintegrating myself to society, you know, start mingling, start going to school. And after that, I got a job, at last, there I was for at least 2 years. Yeah, then I extended, went to Paradise, after Paradise, African Heritage. So I've been, transitioning every year, getting better and, fighting, all those drugs that I was using to make sure that I detox them out of my body so that I can have myself fully.
What was the throughout this span of years? What was the hardest drug you got 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 access to?
Yeah, because I can say that I did crack, but I was not like that much of a crack user because of most of the people that I was so smoking with, they are the ones that mix this with the weed, and there was a time one of my family members even is a hard user, and when he uses it, sometimes he falls like blood squish out from his mouth, a very, very serious thing, like I never understand. But one day he came to where we sit down, chat and all those things. But we didn't know that he mixed it again. So he mixed the weed with the crack and came and said, nobody should smoke any other weed. We should smoke his weed. Before me, I understand, the boys like, really went crazy on him, like, gave him a
So this was when again the crack. This was because it's been some time since you stopped.
Yeah.
So this was like 5 years ago, 3 years ago.
The last incident was at least 4 years ago.
So 4 years ago, that's like 2020. That was crack. How accessible was it for you?
No, but 2020, it was just the one time that I tell you that my family member did that. But before that, like 2011, 2012, 13, 14, by that time, I was that wild, going out different places, taking, and most of the drugs that I was taking had cracking.
But it was, so getting out of it was just a choice you had to make.
Yes, getting out of it, when I went back, looking at my dad, he's sick, looking at the family, everybody were there, and it didn't sound right to me. And what I was feeling inside, it was really, really not satisfying, and I wanted out. So when I decided that I wanted out, then I fought hard, and then later on, most of the guys with this situation or with these problems, like, they come to me. I don't know why, but most of them come to me. There was one even Sarahule boy that came, we were there to him. He came from Basse, but came here and involved himself and went, out there. So I took him in. He sleep. One day even, he took out a knife and wanted to stab one of my brothers just in the night. But still bear with him and, help him until he found himself and went back home. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, as we've, the reason why I said this was a choice, because you were strong enough to understand, nah, this is not the right way or the right path.
Definitely.
And also, I believe family had a part to play, because when you come back, at least I would want to believe something was instilled in you. That's why you had that urge,
Definitely,
not to be at that present state.
Sure.
But then I would say this is not the story for a lot of people
Okay.
in the Gambia.
Sure.
A lot of people do come from broken homes, and that's why I guess even a lot of youths are involved in these drugs and all.
Yeah.
And so xoolee town bi léegi a lot of people, comme yow noonu nekk di wax yaa ngi am looy seet, a lot of people amuñ lu ñoo seet.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and that's the greatest problem that we have, because right now we having less adults in the country and more youths. So right now, even they don't care. Even if you want to advise them, you can have a problem with them.
So,
Yeah, because the generation that they meet with, and the things that they see, and the things that they that is going on around them, social media, peer pressure, and all those things involve most of them, but not the situation that they left from home or anything. Because most of them start smoking from school. Most of them, they will go, some of them, they will go to the park, you sit down there, one foolish cutter like me, we're taking your lunch because we know that you will have something, so you come. I'll be giving you smoke. You'll be smoking there. You see small grade 7, grade 6 kids, smoking from the early age. Why? Because of what? The system has changed. That's why I'm saying the place that I grew up in, you see all that they do, but you dare not to do it because they were that genuine to themselves. They know what those drugs are and what it can do to you, so they will at least protect you. But now nobody's protecting anybody. People are making profit out of the young ones, especially Sparklyn was saying this, how are the drugs coming in? Somebody must be profiting from it. Just if you can just make a rough calculation, if 500,000 youths are taking weed and it's for $50, so if all of them are entitled with 2 in a day, so if you just cross that, how many millions in a day that is going? So all of our economy or all of our resources as youths is just going into drugs.
Yes.
Understand? So that is the biggest problem we have in youth. When I used to sit down like with the boys that I used to calculate all the expenditure. I would look at you and say, you smoke maybe hashes, $300. You have to buy cigarette. You have to buy food. Before the end of the day, you spend $500.
That is like
You're not working.
Where do you get the money?
Well, you're not working on it. So that will increase stress, or that will bring stress into you because every day you have the urge, the need. You want to buy that.
Because you are already tolerant to this. You need more to make sure that you feel good.
Thank you very much.
Because the more you take, the more tolerant you are. So obviously you need more to make sure that you feel good. So what he's talking about, like the ecstasy that was arrested at the airport, almost we can say 48,000 pills of ecstasy.
You see?
So that 48,000 pills of ecstasy that was arrested at the airport, you calculate that, you do a rough calculation of that. That's coming from Germany. So one pill is $500. So if you should do a rough calculation of that 48,000 by 500, how many millions is that individual generated from this?
That's what I'm saying.
So the individual situated, okay, the Gambia now, our youthful population are into drugs. So let me smuggle this drug into the country so that I can make millions.
True.
Fast money.
True.
I guess another question I would just want to ask on top of that is, if you're able to catch 48,000 pills, is it also, could you also say this is what's been caught? Now, can you imagine how much has actually passed? Do you have like a rough number, like an estimate? Okay, we've caught 48,000, but how much did we not catch?
And this is just one catch
That
from one individual.
I might not know, but what we've arrested in the country, ecstasy alone, I can say is more than 50,000 pills.
So these are the ones that were
Definitely
actually
more,
passed
because
through.
48 is just from one person.
Like
so
The 48 is from 2 individuals. The other one, 20-something, 27,000.
So if 2 individuals can smuggle
because the other guy from Germany, almost 28,000 pills of ecstasy, and the other guy too, is it 27 or something?
How big is 28,000 pills? Like how?
It's not very big. This is
easily you can easily.
Yeah, this is only is one. These are pills, small pills.
Yeah.
So obviously, just in a small bag, you can be able to put it inside your suitcase and disguise yourself that these are some of the. So as he rightly mentioned here, Sparklyn mentioned it here, though it is very difficult sometimes to be able to detect these drugs because we do not have any sophisticated material that can detect this kind of drugs. But based on our own thinkings and our own things, we able to detect some of these drugs. But the agency is doing all means to make sure that we have some of this sophisticated material so that we can detect drugs at our borders and our airports. So what we want to our brothers to understand is the security officers that are at the borders and equally at the airport, seaport, they should work in unison, that they are working for the country.
Sure.
Not an individual or personal work. You're working for the country. So there should be that collaboration between the drug law enforcement official, the custom, the immigration, the police. Once you conduct a search, the drug law enforcement agency is able to find pistol or money that they did not declare. You declare that to custom. For a pistol, alert the police and they do their work. Equally, if custom is conducting a search and they found drug, it is equally right for them to showcase it to the drug law enforcement agency and they take it up. So I think this collaboration is what we need in our borders, our seaports and our airports to make sure that all the security officers at the airport and seaports collaborate and work for the best interest of the country, not for their individual interest.
So my understanding, why the law is in place, correct me if I'm wrong, it has something to do with protecting health, protecting the youth, protecting your population in general. This is why you have these laws in place, because objectively, these drugs are harmful.
Indeed.
Right? But as an agency, I see there are certain gaps when it comes to the law.
So,
based on my observation, and you mentioned the cigarette and the alcohol, and then they graduate. But alcohol is legal,
so
right? And there's no scientific data that proves alcohol has any kind of medical benefits. It's actually the opposite,
indeed.
if not worse than cannabis, that is really, really frowned upon in society.
So,
right? I mean, he works at a health facility.
Yeah.
He knows what the damages alcohol does to your organs, to your well-being,
Livers,
to your to your mental health.
Sure.
Why is there a gap about alcohol and cigarettes in the law, but the other ones?
the other one, we categorize alcohol as a substance, not so.
Yeah.
We don't categorize it under drugs, but every country has its own laws. Internationally,
If we're using drugs as a definition to like categorize these substances, alcohol would fall in that, because a drug technically would be any kind of substance that has no nutritional value, that has a biological effect. And that's exactly what alcohol does to you.
for alcohol, it is not categorized. It is not in the law in the Gambia here. Alcohol is not legal. It's legal. But what we tell people is it does more effect than even these other drugs. Because alcohol, like if you sit at one place, what will you do? Sometimes you do competition. I'm going to drink more bottles than you.
Thank you very much.
So this is what happens.
Yeah.
So anytime that we go on sensitization, we don't only say drugs. We say drugs and substance abuse.
Understandable.
And then
So
we include alcohol in it.
Yeah.
But in the Gambia here, alcohol is not illegal. It's legal.
now I understand that, and the efforts in desensitization is very commendable, that you go in and addressing these things from the grassroots. You're capturing the youth from a young age, right? But it's counterproductive when you're sensitizing people against consuming alcohol, but I can just walk into a store and buy it.
Yeah.
And we've seen, I mean, alcohol, is there any kind of mechanism that you'd use to test the quality of alcohol that's coming in?
And there might be the government
Okay.
need to adjust on that. But we have what we call Liquor Act in the country here. That Liquor Act, that means if you're not up to 18
I mean,
years
we understand
old,
the age of
Exactly.
the legal
But
age.
now,
Understandable.
very well in the Gambia here, we are very good at preparing laws. But now when it comes to regulation of such kind of laws, it's always a problem in the Gambia here.
But when you look at it, for alcohol, cigarette, and all those things, the Western world knows that they are profiting from this. That's why it is legal. Now, when they are profiting from the weed, they make it legal and then sell it to us expensive.
I was definitely coming to that regarding the law.
Yeah, because even for them, weed is a like medicinal stuff. Like it's a psychedelic.
The synthetic cannabis.
Yes, for those who are in stress, for those who are in depression and all those things, you go, the doctor will prescribe
it for you.
amount of dose that you can take, so that you will ease up yourself.
So-
It's a psychedelic. It's used, to calm your, everything. So we here normally we use it as a means of having those and all those things, and which is not right. But no matter how, even if you use weed for 10, 20 years without mixing it with anything, I think that you will really be in your rightful senses. Yes. But here, most of the problem is like Gando was saying, alcohol. Right now, if you see a small boy with a full liter of, brandy, Yes.
That is not even that.
I mean, yeah, that
vodka.
he's going
that
to
has how many
stupor.
percent?
Yeah, this is
And then
this
also-
this is a good conversation.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation.
So,
Balamarek, it's we can have conversations about this,
Yeah.
but if there's no legal backing, it means there's no force behind it.
exactly.
True.
Which, in my understanding, I think sometimes, yeah, I mean, we do have to follow the law, but we also have to recognize there are gaps in the law.
Yeah.
Because common sense tells us alcohol is equally worse than
Indeed.
than you know, it's if it's not the same, it's probably worse
Worse.
It's
than
worse.
some
yeah.
of these drugs.
It's worse.
So as much as we want to enforce the law, maybe we should start having conversations on how to adjust these things. Because I mean, I think the alcohol business is bigger than all these drugs businesses.
Yeah,
combined.
alcohol and cigarette. And
Also-
if you check these two things are the most deadliest, substance one can even talk about, because they will target your kidneys and your liver. So if they target your kidneys and your liver, if you lose a kidney,
And-
where are you going to get a
And
transplant?
they target the youthful population. So that is why
That's what I'm
these
saying.
e-cigarettes are coming.
That's what I'm saying.
This alcohol that are prepared in these dry gins and these vodkas, they target our youths.
So is
Yeah.
there
So
an
what we need to
agency?
do is, though the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, this is not under our purview.
Okay, you guys do
Yes,
not regulate.
no, we don't
But
regulate
is there
that.
a body that regulates
The-
alcohol?
for the alcohol, it's legal.
Mm-hmm.
But once you drink alcohol and you commit an offense, the police will arrest you and charge
So
you
even
for
the
whatsoever
conversation-
offense that you
I mean, but I could argue with the
But-
same. If I
but,
could take,
but
No,
under
but
our
even-
purview, alcohol and cigarette is not under our purview.
I think the
So
issue
the
at
drug law
hand.
enforcement is the prohibited drugs and the controlled drugs. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, we can have a discussion among ourselves. Our National Assembly members are those that made laws. We can put them to the corner and tell them that we want to make sure that we have something against alcohol. We have something against cigarette. But for the tobacco, I think they are doing great. That is why they control it. The Tobacco Act. That is why now you cannot go to shops and then you buy a stick of cigarette. But you see today that cigarette is even increasing. One stick of cigarette is how many dollars? Is $10 is now.
Yeah.
So they're trying to control it to make sure that kids will not be able to afford it. So that if you are to buy, you must buy a packet. So how many of us can afford that packet? The last time we had a program at Banjul, there is this boy from the Gambia.
how about just make it illegal instead of trying to control
Even
it?
if not,
I
Obviously,
mean, that's the. I mean, if you want to kill us,
Yeah,
Internationally, some of these things are you are signatory to the international treaties and like. So internationally, these ones are legal.
Because what they're
Yes,
benefiting from it.
exactly.
Yeah.
me,
So
even my point
internationally
here
they are
is-
legal.
it's not even
So
about the
obviously
legality.
you in your country you will not be able to enforce that and say, okay, this is illegal in my country.
But can you pass a law to illegalize it?
Obviously you might.
Can you? Is a question.
Yeah, no, you can. What he's trying to say is that you can actually do it, but you are going to have some people to face.
I mean, ultimately, the reason why we have the Drug Act is because we care about our citizens.
Yeah.
Right. So, are we now going to say there's an international treaty in which Gambia is a signatory to, so we cannot pass a law that illegalizes alcohol and cigarette
Thank you.
because we're a signature.
Exactly.
Because
So unless and until we are not a signatory to that treaty.
But then that means, I mean, then I can agree with
That's what I'm
Sparklyn
saying.
like there's some kind of agenda.
Thank
Because
you.
if our government's hands are tied,
Exactly.
according
So
to
this
what
is
you're
it.
saying,
So that is why I mentioned it here. The political will. So what they will do is they will try to contact the government, and once the government hands are tied, obviously there are certain things that even if you want to enforce in your country, you will not be able to because you already signed a treaty.
Yeah. So I mean, the reason why I'm pushing this is I don't want to, take this conversation to something that we shouldn't do. I just want us to have like basic questions and basic answers using common sense, right?
Yeah.
We are arguing that we care about our citizens, so we're trying to control these drugs because we know it's harmful to the population and to the youth, right? But then again, there's another one that I can just I'm in my 30s, right? It doesn't matter what age I am. If I drink alcohol, it has the same effect as if I'm under 18. But why is that legal? Just breaking it down to the basics. If we care about the country, we have a law that prohibits hard drugs. The argument is we care about the country. That's why we have these laws. But then there's another two substances that are legal that are equally harmful, if not worse. but we cannot do anything about this because we ask the government, our hands are tied, so our people, they can suffer because we cannot do anything about it. That makes no sense.
Yeah, because one thing you have to check, even our government, the laws that they make are not the laws that are in favor or the laws that can go.
It's not our reality.
It's not our reality.
Yeah, so I just want us to, I want us to like kind of unravel it to make sense as to why this rationale is. Yeah.
So for this one, tobacco, I think that is why if you look at the cigarette, the packet, they try to change it. Even recently, it should be changed again for people to see this.
That's not a solution, though.
Before you look at this, you have common sense, not so.
No, but that's not a solution. I mean,
so but, when it comes to the drug demand reduction and international certified addiction professional, what it says about these substances is the legality or the illegality of the substance does not matter. Whether this substance is legal or illegal, but the aftermath of using this substance is what matters. You have your 5 common senses. You very well know that if I smoke this cigarette, what is it going to do to you? Unless it's only going to damage your health.
Which, as a consequence of, could lead to like multiple other issues.
Exactly.
So if you have a damaged liver, or you have I'll just run a few scenarios as to why not addressing this actually has consequences in the entire economy, right?
Yeah.
Alcohol is legal.
Yeah.
Cigarette is legal.
Yeah.
Scientifically speaking, we know the facts, what it says about the effects of these things. I'm an avid smoker or an avid drinker. My livers are messed up. My kidneys are messed up. I don't make enough money. I have to rely on public health, which means the government has to spend more money, right, to cater to people when you could just cut this off and solve the problem.
So from my own perspective,
that means it's multifaceted.
The reason why I want him to comment on this, he's the one in you are an agent of the government, so you have certain responsibilities. As much as we want to speculate how we understand this, we can never understand it as much as you, because you have first-hand information. So this is why I want for you to comment, like, how do you kind of differentiate these? Like, do you cherry pick laws, or do we kind of ignore because the law doesn't say anything about it, or do we kind of, okay, you know what, this is an issue, maybe we should pass a recommendation as the drug law enforcing agency to the national parliament that we on ground, we've noticed that the reason why we're having this drug addiction, it starts from cigarettes, it starts from alcohol, and then it's leading to X, Y, and Z. So if we cut down the root cause, we are not guaranteed we can solve this, but at least we know one of the root causes has been taken out. So are these maybe some of the conversations that you're having?
Yes, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency equally have the right to advise the Ministry of Health. So, and we're doing that all the time to make sure that we advise them. Substances that we situate that are going to be having more effects in the future, like alcohol. Equally, anytime that we go for program, people will talk about alcohol, and in our report, we write to the Ministry of Interior about alcohol, and equally cigarette, because most of the people that will start smoking, they start from cigarette, and then they blend cigarette with cannabis, and then they graduate and it move on like that. Equally, some people now, what they will do, because we arrest people for cannabis, they will tell you, me, I don't smoke cannabis anymore. I drink alcohol.
Now look, yeah.
So all this, we advise the ministry. We advise the Ministry of Health. We equally advise the Ministry of Interior. In our reports, we write these reports and then send it to the government so that we can advise the government. Because in our functions, it is not equal only to arrest and prosecute, but equally we have the right to inform and advise the ministries accordingly, so that the right steps can be taken, so that some of these laws that we're talking about, they can be amended. Even the Drug Control Act is overhauled at the moment, because we see today that how many people are taking cannabis? It's a lot. So if we are to go by the law and arrest all these people, how many people will be in mile 2? If you go to mile 2 recently, I can say 75% of them is because of drugs and other related matters.
Sure.
So equally, we said, okay, now, as for first-time offenders, for cannabis, if you are a first-time offender, instead of you go and serve 10 years in jail, okay, they said less than 2 kilos, you have to pay a fine of less than $50,000, and then you might go and spend 3 months in prison. Okay, still now we see today that lots of youth are still abusing cannabis. So now we said, okay, can we overhaul the Drug Control Act and introduce what we call community services? Our health facilities, the KMCs, the Brikama, Banjul City Council, you know that they need people to work for them, not so. So like if you are arrested with a certain quantity, okay, now they said you're going to pay this amount of money and then you have to go and do community service with mentorship. There will be an individual who is going to monitor you and mentor you so that you can be doing this community service for either 3 months or 4 months, but you have to pay a minimum amount and then they will be monitoring you so that you will go for that service and equally mentor you so that you can stop using that particular substance. Even in our prisons, there was a last time we had some visitors, they go to prison and help those people that are in the prison so that they can learn skills once they are in prison. Once their sentence is finished, they will not go back to the same issue that took them to mile 2. Instead, they will have skill. When they come out, they learn that particular skill and then continue with their life. So I think this discussion is very, very important in as much as our government are listening and then we're doing to make sure something is there for the youths. Because the statistics that I have here, I can say 80% of them are youth that are arrested with substances. He mentioned it here. The Gambia is a youthful population. And most of the people that are last week, we arrest 3 minors. These are 15 years, 16 years, and 17 years.
And that's the most.
And you arrest them with bundles of cannabis.
Thank you. You know.
And also, you know what I personally find very scary about these pills? Let's say in 2030, a lot of youths in the Gambia will not be with their manhood again.
Thank you very much. Even the skunk, that's what they're
the
telling
pills
you.
are not actually, they are actually sex pills.
Yeah. Most of them, most of them are aphrodisiac. Most of them
From
are
the molly?
Yeah.
From all the ecstasy to the, they are all for sex.
No, that's very true.
Because normally a dose can definitely make you sleep. These are drugs that when you use them, you don't sleep and you don't feel hungry.
No.
But you can have sex the whole night.
Thank you very much.
And then I see people now, married people telling me if I don't have pill, I cannot deal with my wife. So imagine in 10 years, and most of these boys using it, they don't even have girlfriend.
No.
So it's eating their
thing.
In 10 years, none of them will go for 1 minute.
No, man. That's
1 minute will be a treasure in this country.
That's very.
You know, these girls.
No, that's very true. Yeah. Because
I'm telling you,
most of the drugs users that are using, they're using it for aphrodisiac. Some of them say, "Hey, someone do bang in your knee." Well, yeah,
it's no dose.
No.
More than that, it's a program.
Yeah.
Because in the next 10 years, góor jigéen pour nga nekk ko fi dafa yomb.
Yeah.
Because góor bu amul bagage. Pour nga nekk ko góor yi jigéen mooy gën a
easy. Definitely.
ba pare kooku dafa am mandu si affaire góor jigéen. Soo déggee nga naan góor jigéen du fi am dafa fekk yow góor nga.
Thank you very much.
So all these are plans.
Agendas yoo xam ne ni.
You know, dañoo dem ba nga xam ne amatuñ góor.
No, Sparklyn, yaa ngi wax loo xam ne ni comme.
I know this.
Very true.
ba pare Mary from grade 10 ba 12. dañ war a dem test seen doom yi.
Thank you.
dafa yëpp a addict.
Yeah.
And they are addict in silence. Because this thing does not make your eyes red like we do. It's not smelling like we do. So then you peel nekk.
You just put it inside your drink and then be drinking.
Yes. And then the scary part is, after we have so much junkies, we're going to have so much people without reaction.
See? Yeah.
Trust me. So that means there will be more lesbians. Because today you will not look after the GNE.
Definitely.
You look after same book.
Yeah, that.
So it's a program. At a point no one is safe. Because crackheady, they laugh as a kid with gun, they will rob you, they will be friends with your family, they will influence your kids. Set down below control. You cannot find helicopter and be monitoring your family.
No.
Understand?
No.
So the scariest part more like a man fofu because okay, go la fiku ya but now this thing is getting into our homes.
So
Definitely, that's very true.
It's getting into our homes. But the scary part more like Gambia we need community policing waaye duñ mun a am community police because community police dafa am lu ko dee waral Gambia is the only country ñu génnee nit ak 2 kilo or 10 kilo of weed the next day you see him on the street léegi dañ dem ba police yoo xam ne o drug squad yoo xam ne o army yoo xam ne amuñ rank seen problème bi mooy you will see a Lions couple or Lions couple or ordinary couple mu dem def investigation am days ba ñëw téye criminal mu yóbbu ko ci station bi criminal bi call ci kaw ñu ne la call from the top at the end of the day that man will be released so this Lions couple dafa tase kii ci mbedda bi and he is going to look like he's the idiot he is a vampire
Definitely, yeah.
understand so next time he caught someone he will settle it on the street and that's where corruption starts because man du ma nekk a police ngeen yónni ma génn a téye criminal isi ko ngeen war ma promote o ngeen wax ma thank you ngeen jël case bi sànni ko ba pare the victim is even going to look at me as an enemy
That's true.
so su yàggee man state bi is not even protecting me as his member
Yeah.
so léegi loolu mooy force every young officer out there despite the low salary sax low salary bi is a case waaye tamit when it goes with disrespect comme things that supposed to generate you promotion is disrespecting you dangaa dem ba sa boppa ngaa tar
And that's the
Gambia dañ war a bàyyi
True.
suñ téye kii nga call diw understand way fii sa family member suñ ko téye yóbbul ko coog prison
Yeah.
loolu moo nekk réalité bi waaye
jànga.
di nga jaayante rank nii you know
Yeah.
mile two ñu fa nekk ak drogue yëpp they are poor because they are there di nga fuñ leen téewoon if they were able and capable they wouldn't be there and this is why people in the street they are lawless because ñun gëmuñ ne loi am na because the people they send to us are not treating us professionally so ñun dañ dee dem ba xam ne okay it's not a law so man I'm not looking my smoking in a perspective of law ne waruma pour law bi dafa because I don't even care the law because I don't know the law
True.
and the people who were meant to teach me the law are using that against me
Against, you know, te loolu la sax doo fi
ba pare soo demee
police mu arrest la mu wala
si seen boppa
you know.
parents yi jubóowuñ ak drug squad
No.
police yi jubóowuñ ak parents
Sunday, you know.
understand
Yeah.
like I have seen an incident ba nga xam ne tey su fi drug squad yi ak parents yi yóbbu comme task force ñoom ñu dugga fi doing the same mission gis naa kenn saaj nit mu gis wiit si loxoom mu okkat ko génnewaat loxoom after mu ñëwaat in private parents yi suñu la téye si mbedd bi ak wiit they are more willing and happy to negotiate than to take you and hand over you to the drug squad
Because dañoo xam ne boss
because dañ ko dee fii dañ dee gis ne no it's not their job dañ dee fii ne ñoom suñ yóbbulee ñii drug squad yi sax they are doing drug squad a favor you know and if you have a security that is not even in line within themselves ba pare ñu ngeen ñëw in a case boo xam ne is about life and death foog naa ne corruption loo corrupt dafa am case yoo xam ne yooyu warlooy bëgg a xaalisam
No,
like if I was an officer I caught you with a crack you selling it bro there is no amount of money because suma spirit bu du dem si side boobu sax doo am chance bi to bribe me sax
No, definitely.
I think problem bi nag foofu la nekk because those are one of the root causes that can be easily eliminated. As a buyer, if there's nowhere to buy, my money is kind of useless. So if you like very harsh on and it's very true, and I think you explained it, money is very enticing, right? So I think there's as much as there's a lot of sensitization in the population. I'm not sure if you're doing this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot of gaps that are missing in the enforcers.
So even
Because they're easily swayed.
So all of these drugs have been cut from the streets, and if I'm correct, this is about 8 tons of just cannabis that was caught within 3 years or 4 years.
From 2020
And
to
you have up to
2020.
even 50,000 pills, which, like you just mentioned, you nekk si top bi, if they're dealing with the dealers, they don't buy ñu génn, which means they know what's going on and they're involved in some way. So if those that are inside and are protecting these people have 8 tons of cannabis and for up to 58,000 pills, what happened to those pills that have been confiscated from these people?
The Drug Law Enforcement Agency, we have what we call exhibit store. Any drug that is arrested is tested first. We analyze it because we have our scientific officers that have to analyze and know the presence of, some drugs, you might have different drugs that are inside it. Like if you arrest a cocaine, sometimes if you go and test it, preliminary testing might be you might find tramadol and other drugs inside it. So before you ascertain whether this is cocaine or heroin or cannabis, you must test it first, because you cannot go to court and say this is cannabis when you did not do any analytical report. That is number one. And you have to weigh it too, so that you can know the quantity. Based on that quantity is where you are fined or sentenced. So once we did that, the cases are already dealt with. We store these drugs in our exhibit store. There are people that are responsible for this. So once the cases are already dealt with, at the end of the year, we call drug destruction day, because as per the law, the drugs that are arrested and the cases are already dealt with should be burned to ashes. So that is what we do every year at Cape Point, Bakau. So before we burn it too, the scientific officers have to be there. They will have to take a sample from all these drugs and analyze in the presence of the media houses, the diplomats, any other individual that is present, so that they can know, okay, what these people are burning is cannabis. This is cocaine, this is heroin, this is ecstasy and the likes. So this is what we do with the drugs after all the cases are already dealt with. We burn them to ashes.
And there are people also who say, most of the drugs that's circulating in the country also is coming from the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, since you guys have a free storage room of drugs. How true is that?
The Drug Law Enforcement Agency, I am very certain that we don't recycle drugs. Might be, anywhere you go to, you have good people and bad people.
Yeah.
But any drug that reach our exhibit store cannot be recycled.
Okay.
Because we have different keys at this exhibit store. You have one key, I have one key, he has one key. He cannot open in the absence of me. I cannot open in the absence of him.
So all three people
have to be present in order for this exhibit store to be open.
Okay.
So obviously might be if you at a particular station and then you arrest drugs before it reach the command, and then you can might be smoke all that drug and then you recycle it.
Yeah.
But in that, if you are arrested,
It's a big risk.
obviously you will answer to the disciplinary committee, because we have professional standard and disciplinary committee in the agency.
No, that's true.
One of our officers was caught at Penyam. He's currently in Mile 2.
Oh, yeah.
Because as per the law, you cannot be fighting something and then you are dealing in it.
No.
So if anybody is found wanting, the law takes its course. And recently what we do is we've tested all our officers when it comes to drugs, from the Director General to the last person. There is nobody who is taking the substances as we speaking. Those of all the people that were found wanting that they are taking the drugs, they were given 2 months to desist from it or continue. So after the 2 months, they come back and tested. Those that tested positive were sent home. They are no more working with us.
No.
Because you cannot be working for an agency and telling people to stop using drugs and you are using drugs.
And that's the most case. Most of the officers that arrest us on the streets, most of them will take what you have and then smoke.
So
Especially when
the
it
Drug
is
Law Enforcement Agency,
When was this
now
enforced?
we did not have any individual that is
So
dealing
we're
in
saying
drugs.
right now, as of now,
Yes,
no
and
drug
any
squad.
recruitment that we are doing, after the interview and the exams, the first thing that we conduct is testing.
That's it. Okay.
So that is automatic disqualification once you tested positive. Because we want to make sure that our officers are professional in their dealings, and whatever you are doing, to make sure it is in line with the laws of the country. So I think the last time we have a program, somebody mentioned this and said, why not every institution or agency in the Gambia also conduct such once they want to employ people. Because sometimes it is seriously crazy that you go to some places and you found people that are in our uniforms, and some of them will be even with these boys and smoking.
No, that's normal to us now because
So
most of
the
we
drug
see
law
them, yeah.
enforcement agency, we do not spare anybody. Because as per the law, even if you are an officer, we have right to arrest you.
Yeah.
So we arrest officers, we arrest citizens, ordinary citizens, any individual that is found with drugs.
How
The drug
about
law
the way
enforcement
they-
agency will obviously arrest you and then take you to court. So what Sparklyn is talking about here too is very important. The Gambia, I think we all know each other, right?
Yeah.
And this maslaha syndrome in the country is really taking us back.
Yeah, the masala
Once,
culture
yeah,
is a problem.
it's a problem in the
Big
country
problem.
here.
Very true.
Yeah.
So I think we should desist from that, and then any individual who is arrested with drugs, let the law take its course. That might change that individual. But you arrest an individual with drugs, and then the imams come to the station, blah blah blah, or the pastors come to the station, and then they talk to you. And those people know your parents. They know everybody know each other in the Gambia here. So obviously, this maslaha syndrome too is a problem.
Definitely.
Nobody can say that like public smoking. You're gonna give a blind eye to that. Anywhere you go to, any corner you go to, you see people that are abusing drugs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But we as parents also have a role to play.
Yeah, but even citizens, we are citizens. We have a role to play.
Indeed.
That's where, as what Sparklyn was saying.
Because in-
community policing.
So
If you check in Senegal, if you found with certain cases like drug, you rarely have people to go and do backing for you. You rarely have people to do that.
Actually, they will report you. There's a community
Yes.
policing is very strong.
You know,
Yeah.
especially because they are corrupt. But when it's come to drug, they understand the destructive part of it.
the one selling the drugs is in for the money, but he's destroying the children.
Exactly.
So that is why in other countries, even in Europe, if you are found, I have a friend who was in Italy. This boy was arrested and then he was in jail, and then he was released and then arrested again. You know what they did? They inject him and send him back to the country. He is currently in the Gambia and he cannot do anything. He will only sit at one particular place, open his eyes. So that means you complete liability to your people.
So
Because
Sparklyn,
they know the effect that the drug is doing to their kids. So if they found you selling those hard drugs in their country, obviously they will do the obvious.
But when you look at it, even they are the ones that are making the hard drugs. That's the most funny part because we don't understand. Even our government or our politician or government around Africa don't understand the game that is being played because it's like they're targeting the young ones of every country, of every government. If you go to places like Uganda, Kenya, and those people are taking jet fuel.
So
You know,
Codeine.
other places they're taking worse drugs. So you see some people even go to the scrubs to find something that they will sell to have drugs.
So
Right now, Gambia, drugs is getting that, big influence, is getting that power, so it's getting wide. So they're targeting all of the young ones around, especially Africa. But when you look at their countries,
And you know why it is going to be very hard for the drug squad to be able to be catching some of these people, because the prostitution level is too high,
you see,
and criminals always work with prostitutes. Prostitutes are willing to do anything,
to have money.
and all the focus is on men.
yeah.
But we forget that you have so much prostitutes standing. Some of them are
Yeah.
selling cocaine.
And most
You
of
think
them,
they're doing
they have-
prostitution? No,
Yeah.
they're selling cocaine. Because if I know that, oh, you're a prostitute, you are normally in this station the whole night, I give you bagas.
Yeah.
Jokkele bagas. So ma call him and dama sena Gambia si Johnson bi. am na ndobu fa taxaw. So age ma call ndobi.
You see?
Simple.
Yang maja.
So you are making it more hard to control crime. Léegi am rooba bi tamit su buggee roob caga bi la dee mun a use.
Use, definitely. Yeah.
boobu moom moo xam yan kër ñoo am baxa yan kër ñoo am bagage yu seer ak yan kër moo am xaj ak yu amul xaj.
You see, definitely.
So ñun suñ street Gambia bi is so dangerous.
But on street, see, like we say, what changed? Because so by health, say, Lord explain. You also tell me no, come no hold on here. I'm not here na. Nyeme wala hold def.
Thank you
Si
very
kanami
much.
kotoi.
Thank you very much.
Kotoi tabit before even though am nañu daan involved in some things but then am na luñ daan seet la comme ni ma la sóoraale bi ak yooyu noonu.
loolu
lu tax léegi loolu amatul
loolu
ci
démocratie yaaxa na ko. ak
so
child right.
Thank you very much.
Because time boobu man dama am obligation to any kid I see on the street muy misbehave. su ma ko corrigé. parents am wouldn't be angry.
So
True.
or so ma yóbbee police sax dafa nekk case bu wee. you know people will, yeah.
waaw
Definitely.
But now that is stopped. Even teacher bu la teach sax du la ñeme ña dóor.
The last time I went to one of the school at Old Joswang Lower Basic School, I am talking about Lower Basic School. I was having a discussion with the students at the primary level. There is this boy, the headmistress said is in grade 3. Grade 3 boy.
Yeah.
He came to the class with cigarette. So there was cigarette in his bag, and they report him to the headmistress, and the headmistress asked him. He said he smoked cigarette. So how do you,
Grade 3, yeah?
Grade 3, yes. So how do you get this cigarette? On the whole, the father is the one that used to send him to go and buy a cigarette.
so you went and bought for the father.
So you know, kids
Yeah.
sometimes they will also want to test and see how it feels like. So on the course of that, when he was given money, he will also go and buy a cigarette, put it in his bag. Then when he is alone, he smoke it. So when the father was called to come and answer to the school, he did not even show any remorse that the kid is doing this.
See.
So before that kid reached grade 6, my way he will even graduate from cigarette to another drug. Before grade 9, he is even chronic in this.
Thank you very much.
Does the drugs have
yeah.
anything to do with the rise in crime rates as well in the country?
Obviously,
Yes,
drugs
yes.
and crimes, they are intertwined. They are twins.
interlinked, Yeah.
Wherever you see drugs, know that crime is just at the corner waiting. And wherever you see crime, know that it is because of the influence of drugs. So these two goes together. All these killings that you are hearing from the country, the last time the one that killed his friend in Sukuta, he took drugs and killed the friend. He did not even know. So when it was later that he knew that it was him that killed the friend, because it was under the substance, under the influence of the substance.
Yeah.
So once you take this substance, you can do anything. It is later that you're going to realize that you've done this. People were watching television, and then this guy takes in ecstasy. So he came and tried to unplug the fields and was telling those people, "Are you people seeing me?"
Crazy.
Cloud
So-
99.
And you as an individual, you do not have any skill. You are not working, and then you are addicted to these substances. What will happen? And you need these substances. What will you do? You will go and break into people's properties, and then you take their valuable materials. You go and sell it at just little price, just to make sure you have money to go and buy these substances. Obviously, we are in the era of iPhone. What he said. These ladies, they use them as couriers. Okay, what you will do is, I have something that if you can take it from Brigama to Banyul for me, I give you $20,000. 20,000, okay. She will be thinking, okay, from that 20,000 I can buy iPhone. So obviously that individual will do all means to make sure that she carried this from point A to point B.
And most of those women, they are not Gambians and they are not from Gambia. So those people, they don't care what
happens, yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing that they care, they can have
And
something to
90%
survive
of
and
them
take
are
money.
even under drugs because
Yeah.
they're not doing prostitution because they wanted to do it.
No.
Because some of them are brought in here
Mm-hmm.
in the belief that there is so much white people here, they can make so much money, they can go to Europe.
Oh.
But once they come, they realize it's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And before you could be free to do prostitution for yourself, you have to pay the madam
Certain amount.
$250,000.
Yeah. Even
So
yeah.
if you don't pay this $250,000, you are going to be under the custody of that woman.
That's true.
Because I have watched
Yeah,
the documentary
yeah.
before,
Even at Serekunda.
Now, for them to make this money, they cannot wait for Tuba.
No.
They have to go to the street and charge as low as they can get. Because otherwise, you are going to be under this woman custody for the rest of your life.
Yeah, true. So it's like buying your freedom. See.
So the only thing the government can do them is to park them all. These people, they
Yeah,
want to go
definitely,
home. But
definitely.
because they cannot go home because they were taken to a shrine to take an oath
You see?
that they cannot betray these
Betray the
people.
people and
So
leave.
now they are here, they cannot go home, they cannot pay this debt like they trap. But the government can actually break that circus.
Yeah, that's very true.
But the
That's very
government
true.
won't. They are making
90% of them want to go
Yeah,
home.
even
Because 90% of them are not professional prostitutes.
no.
I think what you were saying is very important. The CSOs need to engage these people and serve as intermediary between these people and the government to make sure that they facilitate that. So once they facilitate that, these people can be freed, and then if they want to go home, they can go back to
They
their
want to
country.
go home because the problem is they are not bold enough to go and report the matter.
Thank you very much.
So no matter who talks to them, they will not tell you. They will not even tell me.
No.
You know, I offered to buy a ticket for some of them. But they said they have taken an oath.
You believe to die.
Understand? They believe if they disappoint these people, something bad is going to happen to them. And that is torture.
Yeah, mental torture.
So the only way we can help these girls is to park them.
And send them home.
Send them home. The ones that are Gambians.
Yeah.
Trust me, let's see, with $50 million, yeah,
You can
This can be
rehabilitate
settled.
them. Yeah,
How?
definitely.
the ones that are not Gambians, you can send them back and even give them some money.
Something, yeah.
The ones that are Gambian, you can engage them, invest, open business for them.
Thank you very
But
much.
90% of these prostitutes is not because they want to have sex.
They're doing it
Because
for
of the
business.
Economically,
Situation.
because it's the fastest way to
It's
have
for money because especially women in this country. Especially nga dem bañ la biiral nga am doom, understand?
Oh, yeah.
Or nga sëy be tas, understand? But feeding became problem.
Yeah.
Job became problem.
Yeah.
So the only thing they can do is to date few people. So yage ñooñu nobatuñ la sax da ngaa dem pour jaay ko because da ngaa de am foo toll foo xam ne doo mun a am dina amit.
Yeah.
Léegi dañoo dem taxaw léegi ñag yi because of you have 5 ñag taxaw benn Gambia dafa ñëw squeezing doo ko xàmme. Now these Nigerians are giving them opportunity pour ñoom tamit ñu mun a dem taxaw before they do it low key.
Yeah.
Also, that
Oh, they
demand
should
is
go to like
rising.
Janke Wali, you know, before we used to have these things.
Yeah.
But it's a special place. You find them rek ñoo ko xam.
No waaye tamit léegi
And you
soo
will
ko
so
everywhere.
don't-
yeah
Everywhere.
waaye bro soo ko xoolee tam dafa mel ni comme dëkk bi sax koto yi sax ñu ngi gën a invest into lodge comme into prostitution ak loolu noonu because of
Voilà.
yeah.
Ba pare prostitution bi sax nekk du yóbbu benn business. This is black low key prostitution. They would sometimes they would even go behind cars. They would go to
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
But is it
Very
safe to
nice.
say the demand is rising, and also it could be linked to the drugs because, like you mentioned, there's a rising trend of this illicit
The
drugs,
demand
and then
for
most of them.
prostitution is the customers are not rising. That is the problem. That's why they are everywhere. They are not making enough money.
Yeah.
That's why they cannot rest. Every day dañoo dem suba be wala dëkk bi with all the dangers we are saying. Jigéen ñi rek nga dee taseel
Goody.
after 3, 4.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
dominate.
yeah, that's true. That's
That's
true.
dangerous, bro.
Yeah.
So they have to make the money at some point. Because if you don't make the money, you are still a slave under this woman that no one's know. Suma neighbor bi Ous, he was an NIA director. Mu ngi am kër Kesering benn sister moo ñëw mu ren kër bi ba mu ko ren boy mu isi for over 40 people
Si benn kër.
si benn kër ba pare guddi si bunti kër bi la ñëw taxaw koto bi ñëw pour jël këram munut ko mu dem police yi ñëw caga yi ñu ne duñ génna. This is how violent these people are.
Who's protecting them?
He have to wait for 6 months.
Because they have
Con-
already
okay,
paid for the
contract.
6
Yes.
months.
Okay.
But then you paid for my place, but it was not for prostitution you paid
So-
for. So law be for more to protect this guy. But this guy is an ex-senior officer. He have been everywhere. He is helpless. Dafa mujjee talk 6 months. NIA director at the State House those time.
But then also, speaking of the women, even gis nañ ne tamit there's a rising trend in suñ sister yi, suñ auntie yi. Time boobu soo ñu waxee yëfi drugs, boy yi rek lañ dee
Yeah.
suuraale. But léegi tamit suñ sister yi tam ñu ngi si balloon yi, ñu ngi si pills yi. Why do you think cafe yi tam ñu ngi join trend bi léegi?
Music be has a greater role to play. You know, when it's come to our women, because soo ko bàyyee xel Afrobeat bi mu ñëwee si la jigéen ñi door i tu reggae music moo ñu tuuloo ñun ñëpp taay
Yeah.
understand
Boy.
why reggae music was not talking to the women, it was talking to us. Now Afrobeat is talking to the women. And then time bobu da nga dee am Gambia ñaari segment. Segment bi mooy ponori. Nga am segment bi mooy ñu dul pon. ñu ne naa ñun ñu ne cicimaani. But léegi cicimaani dañu fekka si suñ gaam.
Waaw.
Moom léegi ñoom ñoo xam ne duñu daan pon léegi ñoom ñoo nekk si drogue yu sew yi pil si
Civilized drugs.
civilized drugs.
Sisa and all that stuff.
léegi ñoom ñoo ñu gën a garaaw sax ba pare ñoom ñoo ko introduce tepe
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
because ñoom they are always with girls rasta yi they are always with themselves
Yeah, man.
ñun amuñ jigéen bu ñëw ñun jigéen boo gis si ghetto bi rek xam ne dafa break sakos yi ba aga foofu mana sanga yaa wut foofu de
No, loolu moom dañ dëgg.
he come with it
Yeah.
because foofu station boo xam ne la ku ñëw rek we all equal
True.
waaye jigéen yu fa daan ñëw duñ dee ñëw innocent
No. Soo leen gisee da nga xam ne kii cicatrice wala comme da nga xam ne kii indice la ci boppam.
but because of pills yi sex pill la women will get it because ñoom seen boppa they having benefits
But Chefe itam so xoolee these drugs cost money. They're not working.
because they don't pay for it and you know why it's more dangerous for a woman to be consuming this because ñoom seen disadvantage bi moo nekk ne ok yow jigéen nga yaa ngi nice da nga dee laal drogue you touch cocaine fine da nga ñëw si Spark Spark will go and find the best cocaine high quantity because bu ngi la bëgg a please pour am fun so Spark will give you extra treatment pour mu am lu mu bëgg nga jógee fa nga dem si party xamutoon ne yaa ngi si Spark démba moom tamit mu dem jënd di best drug waaye man Spark man su ma paree yow tey ëllëg du ma dem jënd that quantity for myself maybe I just wanted to have fun for that day waaye yow from Spark yu ngay dem ci beneen góor mu ngi laa jox different quantity different understand so ñoom su ñu dee jël ñun 1 year pour ñu addict ñoom it only take them 3 months and then they don't even buy it with their money
lu gën a sad moo nekk soo demee club si yëpp Gambia club boo dem every day ci pay nga ñoo fa dee gën a fees del paako yi ñooñu naka lañ dee amee xaalis
demal time boobu noonu la nga dee gis cepe yu naay si ñoo dee liggéey si banque yi si high institution go to the bank you cannot even find beautiful girls anymore
That's subjective.
I'm telling you they are all at
village wow correct
Yeah, Senegal.
di ñaan drink ak yi
no but
Banque dañoo ñëw pour yow de boy.
jëlal sa caméra bi jëlal sa caméra bi nga wër banque yu nekk si dëkk bi banque yëpp am naa fa ak
ay lay
it's hard to have 3 beautiful girls in an entire building
no that's very true
ñoo capa ñu ngi sëy
Wow.
comme time boobu nga gis ne ku téye xaalis rek mu ngi rafet like finance was for beautiful girls man banque si sax dañ daan braguer loolu
because
waaye léegi gis ku nice sax pour employé
They all go to the club.
these girls they don't amuñ patience sax pour jeexal grade 12
no
It's quite true.
yeah
And when you go to Senegambia, I used to say it is another country in the Gambia.
yes
Yes. If you go to Senegambia, you see everything and any kind. So it's so crazy and discouraging.
but one thing about that comme sexually transmitted disease dafa comme am na ñu bëri ñoom ñu ngi ko toogee sakatuma suñ maasi góor yi da ngaa rus pour dem si lopitaan bi nga xam ne sa lifin bi mu ngee seena wala mu ngee yi
The last time I was with the psychiatric lecturer from Iowa. He is equally the psychiatric doctor at Carnegie General Hospital, Amadou. We had a seminar. He said there are a lot of youth that came to the hospital and they were examined and find out that these people are suffering from tuberculosis. You know, like you smoke and you give it to X smoke and give it to Y, or you all use the same Caesar. You smoke and give it to this and that. So those people were confirmed that they have tuberculosis. You should come for treatment. And we all know tuberculosis treatment. Is it 3 months or 6 months? So they did not. They failed to come back.
yeah
So they go into the community. So they end up transmitting that disease to other people.
see. And I one of my uncles he even passed away. Mom, he was a smoker but he had tuberculosis on the way. Where the mon be cured after Mumbai smoking even for 15 years plus. But after those things have done the damage already. But them living where them become almost as hard.
street bi yëpp tuberculosis
Yeah. You understand?
So I think people need to extra careful. Where you going to drink,
So
especially green tea.
Yeah.
For me, I've stopped drinking
yeah.
green tea since 2019, and I don't engage into it anymore. So if I am to go to certain places, I make sure I carry my own bottle. And if you offered me water, I said no, I'm okay. I have water.
Yeah, what for the attire?
Even these soft drinks,
Settle the
I don't go into it. I don't drink these fishy drinks.
Yeah.
Ah.
You know,
I
for
body love
me, the
body.
thing is, these are important conversations to have. But ultimately, the people that can do something about it immediately are the government. So I find it very difficult. I mean, one of the biggest contradictions you see every day is on a pack of cigarettes, it says smoking kills, but it's legal, right? So dem na nyona muna nyo watan we can sensitize as much as we want. But if there's no kind of legal backing for some of these things, then you're not gonna do. Because I mean, if we are putting out of consideration that cigarette is intentionally created to be very addictive. Like nicotine is one of the most addictive substances you can find, right? So there's a lot of root causes that can be addressed immediately by just passing a law. So again, it comes down to what is being done to address these issues at its root cause. That's the question that we need to be asking, and these are the conversations we need to have.
Because one thing, if it is if it was come near Mungi one under the power of the government, things would have changed.
But that's it. But okay.
I think this is bigger than the government, actually.
Guys, okay, wait. If the government is the supreme power of the country,
No.
yes.
No.
Then who is?
So, I mean, I would disagree to that. The government is not the one importing cigarettes, but
Is the government is the one that can allow or reject?
How I'm gonna put it is, the businessmen are the people putting the government of today in power.
Okay, wait. Okay.
So if I am a businessman,
Lady,
and
the argument is this is a focus on capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Capitalism is not the supreme power of any nation.
yeah, that's what
No, we have to talk about objectives, and then we have to talk about influence. There's a difference. Yeah, business people are influencing policies. No denying to that. But it's down to the government to say okay or no.
So
If they say no, there's nothing anybody can do about it.
I think this is even bigger than the government.
These are all
Cigarette and alcohol.
Bigger than the,
Okay,
yeah,
what
this-
Gando is
this
saying.
industry
You guys,
Well, I get your point, and
Thank you
which should be the thing we should practice. Comme dañ need governments yoo xam ne su système bi soxlee ñun ñu si soxla ñun la moo faral. Looy wax ni suñ ko defee obvious dafa am small consequences, but they should be ready for that. Su nekkee ne that is the best for the people.
What is the consequence, right? That you can explain to me that makes sense.
Well, the consequences will be if they try to stop alcohol and cigarette, it will affect their funding in different areas.
economy of the country will
affect
go down a lot.
No, they might not even get sanctioned. They will fight them behind the carpet.
Yeah.
They will not come out and fight them, but they might not have money from IMF. And you think what relationship does cigarette and IMF have?
That's
So-
that's why
so
it's
what-
bigger
what-
than
What
the
government will be scared.
So what we are saying is this, right? Just by Lone could explain. I don't disagree that it's true.
Yeah.
But if we accept that truth,
Yeah.
what we are saying is our government, when push comes to shove, they can't really help us.
That's
no,
No,
because
that's true.
they were given
And
laws.
that is why we
They were
need.
given
That's
laws
why we
for
need
one, but they
system
don't
change.
make laws for
That's
them.
why we need people
For-
who will put Gambia first. I was with Uncle Esafal last week in his house, and we were talking, and I tell him, listen, bro, I said one thing that needed the joy.
Yeah.
What is that? Manako, they said you are too connected to be trusted.
Too
And it's like
connected.
to be trusted. And it's like, what do you mean? I said, okay, Gambia xam nañ ne sa jàng bi daawatuñ ko. Sa capability, sa position.
Yeah.
waaye fu ñu jaaxalee mooy. su dee yow soxla ñun Gambia soxla na. Système bi mu soxla. dañu da nga jaamu système bi jox ñu because this question leader bu ko mënta answer
waaw
lu ñu mën a save
And tamit
No.
pour
doo ñu
am
mën a
leader
save
boobu
because
nag moo yombut.
da nga
loolu la
fii dañ toola jamono boo xam ne any leader boo xam ne da nga bugg a am retirement package you cannot rule us
no that's
because foxi nga pare after your leadership they can even hang you they can
Yeah.
and then you have to accept all that because if you want to change the realities dafa am lu la xaar
yeah
and if you are scared of those things you cannot make a change da ngaa ñëw fii nekk fi 20 years and then we will still need to have somebody to come and fix the problem for us.
So I mean, you are absolutely right, and these are issues that we're seeing, but to say the government is powerless to a certain extent, that's just something I cannot accept.
It's not
The reason
powerless,
why,
but you cannot bear the hands that feed you.
no, wait.
Gando, you know that cigarette as at now, the cigarette is the highest tax that is paid
the money
in a
is coming
country.
good
Look,
for it.
my
gonna
question
damage
is
the economy.
my question is I'm going down to fundamentals. I'm not going down to the reality now, right? We cannot use the realities now as a fundamental, right? The reality now is cigarette is allowed to be imported, and there's a heavy tax that makes the government money. Alcohol is allowed to come in, and there's a money generated from that. That's the reality. I am not debating the reality. I'm trying to bring us a little bit down to the fundamentals, because if we say because the economic consequences to stopping cigarette or alcohol from coming in, what we are saying, if you want to explain that to the layman, is okay. The Gambian government has decided, you know what, we're going to take money over your health.
Yeah, I mean,
Fundamentally, that's what you're telling me.
That is exactly
and that's what's happening.
So that's precisely a problem, because I should be able to trust my government that if something is coming into the country that is detrimental to me and my family and my community, I give them the power to fight on my behalf.
yeah
So we
would
cannot
say-
accept or kind of because once we start accepting
one
it
thing-
and
one thing-
explaining it, once we accept the reality as the fundamental, what we are doing is there's nothing our government can do about it, so let's accept it. No, we should not accept it.
we should not.
That is why they come
That is
in
my
for-
point.
That's what I'm saying.
Like Lee is a job for
We
the
cannot
masses.
accept it.
The masses bi ñoo am job bi because government bi ñun mun leen na push pour ñu jàmbu système bi.
okay
Understand?
But then I'm
Why we must come together.
We have to.
We must come together.
But then they fail to understand the government is us.
So
That's
that
the
is
same
why
people.
Gando, I think they bring in the
Léegi,
tobacco
if the
control
government
act.
comme government bi
So
su
they're
nekkoon
trying to
ñun la
control
then
it.
Gambia
So that is why they
all
say, okay,
the
now-
laws of the country dafa la war a nekk suñ bos all the laws dafa doon war a nekk laws yoo xam ne ni dafa favor the citizen of the country wala comme mu nekk suñ construct wala ñun mel law bi daf ñu favor dafa go according to that anytime bu bugg a amend anytime bu bugg a post dara lifin dara into law nañ ko mun a change boo léegi Gambia soo ko waxee sax daf laa wax ne dañ war a dem fële ne le ñu draftal leen constitution ba pare comme
That's not a democracy. It should
Gambia,
be.
all that
no,
all that
Hangalu
come back to
democracy
the-
comme is a myth
Anga lu waral loolu
Yeah.
nga most of this the way they control these things is very easy de because top politicians yoo xam ne gars yi am nañ hope ne these people might take the country at some point.
yeah
90% si Africa top politicians yooyu yëpp they belongs to a cult.
yeah
dañ leen day jël ñu boole leen ci cult now you cannot betray the cult.
No.
because it's a matter of life and
Yeah,
death.
those are the
Thank you
treaties
very
that
much.
you
loolu
are
moo dee tax da nga
signing.
am good ambition you love your country but you cannot make a change because you are working for the benefit of the cult.
or you
su
die
nekkee ne yow pour nga change bottle bi to white it doesn't favor the cult you cannot change it.
no
so foog ñu am independent politician ñoo xam ne they doesn't belongs to any cult.
And
Thank
these
you
are
very much.
exactly the conversations we need to have.
Yes.
And the reason why we need to have these conversations, right? It's we claim to be a democracy,
Yeah.
but the reality is not a democracy.
No.
Because if the people are saying this is killing us, they don't have to like verbally say it, but you can. If you go to the hospitals, I'm sure you have the data, right? And the alarm is this is killing us, right?
Yes.
And I don't think anybody would be saying no, bugun cigarette pu mu ñaka ñew fi ni. I don't. If people are going to be opposed to that law, you're selfish.
No one is
Right?
going to oppose.
I think the subsequent
I
in
have-
your subsequent program, I have somebody who is working at DLEAG Gambia. Basically, their advocacy is on tobacco. So he has those data. I would share his
What's
number
the
with you, Omar Conte.
Yeah.
He worked with the Raid the Gambia. He will give you the statistics.
the
We should
Raid the
definitely have
Gambia,
it.
RAID.
Read the gap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, their advocacy is on tobacco. So I even have one of his presentation with me. He will say, have the data with you, the number of people that died in the country, the number of dollars that is spent on cigarette per day. Like if 7,000 people are smoking cigarette in the Gambia.
Actually, we did. There was a Twitter.
Exactly. So he has all those. I have all those
Millions.
in my laptop.
Millions of dollars.
Yes,
bro.
millions of
Yeah,
dollars
just
are
average
spent on
Gambia.
cigarette.
If you're
That
a
is
cigarette
the
smoker,
smokers.
from morning to night when you sleeping, at least you can smoke reach $100 or 150.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you will be buying one
Exactly.
before you
So
understand.
that is why they said,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
Tobacco
yeah,
Control
yeah,
Act
yeah.
comes in.
Yeah.
So they want to control it now. If you are to smoke, you cannot buy a stick. You have to buy a packet, just to make sure that they control the number of people that are smoking.
But that one will
Okay,
make
now they said,
everybody
okay, if you are to
drop more.
smoke, you should not smoke in the midst of people.
Yep.
You have to smoke 100 meters away from people.
But that law was implemented. It started, but after
Sometimes they
went
enforce. You know,
down.
Gambia, we very good at
saying
preparing
things.
laws,
Yeah.
but sometimes the enforcement becomes a problem. So I think we need to work on that too.
I mean, the Ministry of Health did release a document in 2024. That was last year.
So
On average, Gambian smokes 5 cigarettes a day.
Gambian.
Gambians,
Okay.
right?
On average.
So, and that was 2024.
$15.
2024. Lola la nekada. So on average, right? So the amount spent on cigarette annually is $6.7 billion.
Dalasi. So, wow, do you
That
think the
is
government
it.
is going to stop that people from coming?
Well, yeah. So
Now, what we have to do is, what we have to do is, we need to trace the money,
So
right? Where is this money
where
going?
coming from?
It's
Where
going
is
to
it
foreign
going
people.
foreign places. Yeah.
So what is it? What is the economic consequences? Because I mean, out of that 6.7 billion, how much of that money will be taxed?
Very little, no less than 1%.
Yeah,
Right?
that-
A tiny amount is going to government,
Yeah.
which in return is going back to the people. It's a very tiny amount
But then that
compared
money-
to how many able bodies
Government
can
is
save
losing.
that you could
Use to
invest
work.
in. You could use to work.
Man loolu moo ma la jàll.
So that is cigarette alone.
Yeah.
It's-
So if you
it's-
should go to drugs and
Yeah.
alcohol,
Actually,
so
Alcohol is
Billions.
I think,
It would be
a very
very
serious
insane.
conversation that's to be
It-
had
it-
right now.
and these are some of the-
Alcohol, and then the rising trend of cheap alcohol, unregulated alcohol.
Those were made in
Before there
Abuko.
was alcohol.
Made in Abuko
And I
product.
think this is why
What is it?
this is why I propose. I think we need to start having common sense conversations.
Yeah,
Like put law aside, put politicians aside, put government aside. What is the most logical thing to do? And
Exactly.
the most logical thing to do is it's obvious. I mean, you clearly pointed out people that go to hard drugs usually start somewhere. And that's cigarettes and alcohol. I know a lot of people that smoke cigarette. I respected a lot of people that smoke cigarette. You know, let me stop there.
No, they don't.
To be truthful,
Yeah.
to be truthful, cigarette, it's very harmful,
indeed.
right?
Indeed.
It's very harmful. Even though sometimes some of us might smoke it here and there, but objectively speaking,
It's
on a
very
bigger
harmful.
scale,
It's
it's
very
harmful. That's just the
Very,
fact.
very
There is no user who want to keep smoking.
No, but you cannot stop.
Especially cigarette. Everybody
Your pockets are hurting
Yeah,
and
what
what
is
is
it?
it?
Appreciate it. If
Because
they
your
help you
pockets
stop,
are
you will
hurting
appreciate
every day.
it.
Thank you very much.
And that's why we have to understand human psychology, right? We say we're going to brand the cigarette packet, smoking kills, and the reason why we're putting that is to kind of deter some people from buying it, because if they read smoking kills, they might not buy it. But we know damn well that that's not how humans work,
Oh.
right? If humans were that rational and they made decisions based on common sense, nobody would go near drugs.
We wouldn't need
Very
to
Right?
police station.
But we do it anyway. So obviously we need to have mechanisms in place because we cannot trust people to make right choices. That's why we have laws. Right? If we could trust people to just make the right decisions, we would not have any laws because we would believe, okay, anybody,
Everything will be
you are exactly. But no, we have laws precisely for the reasons like this. We cannot trust humans to make right decisions.
We need dictatorship in certain things.
Yes, I'm sure. Now you even have like some alcohol brands where you literally see Jahannama on the bottle, right? But people drink it anyway.
People are drinking it.
So no matter what kind of branding we do on
Also,
these boxes, it's not going to change.
One
it.
thing I've noticed also before in Gambia, I've never seen alcohol ads or banners outside, but I've
There
seen
need to.
them recently.
No. You know those ones. They are not advertised them because the law says those products should not be advertised.
Because you don't even need to advertise it.
That's what
You know,
I'm saying.
you know
But
the
then
reason why you advertise is to get customers.
But now
if the customers are coming, why do you need to
obviously you don't
advertise?
need
It makes
the reason why I'm saying this
but when you look
advertisement.
at it, Gambia before was an alcohol cigarette base from our dads and all those things. They were not using most of the substance. Most of them, maybe the ones that travel. Yeah, some of them became, hooked with these extra drugs. But average Gambians that were here, they were only drinking
And
smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, but the alcohol we have at the time was organic.
Thank you very much.
Everything is now about money.
But it was
That's why I'm
proper.
saying
It was proper. You have the quality.
That's why it's proper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're making quantity.
Different nonsense.
Yeah, now they're making quantity.
That's
Even
why
you
it's-
have
These energy drinks that are now in the
catch fire.
system.
Yeah.
And then
You have vodka.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they will be right to like.
look at
So,
body,
and these
but you
people
think that
will,
it's a power energy drink.
very
Some people
accessible.
were drinking bullet before. They do not know that it was bullet.
So
You go in, you buying it in the shop, they say energy drink. Well, you taking it and it is
15%.
turning you to something else.
Yeah.
And that's so there are a lot of things that they are here different from alcohol, but people are consuming it and it is giving them that hype or that dose that they need. But we are not looking into those things.
and our youths are adding extra.
Thank you very much.
You have that energy drink that have 30%
but
to
one
20 something percent vodka, and now you are putting ecstasy into that.
Which is ridiculous.
down now.
Crazy.
They like it like that way.
Bro.
Gambia never mean
Or
complete
those
dose.
dry
Normally
greens,
that
you buy
gel
that dry green, you do not even dilute it, you just drink it like that.
Yeah, raw. Because Gambia
Yeah.
dafa buka
Yeah.
lolu man mala
I
jigi
think
na jol
Lord,
dose
it's
hey
a-
man dama
it's
de
a
ni
new
dama de la.
phenomenon, Nakola,
Huh?
because I think that's a new phenomenon when DLEAG. It's not more about personally loyalty those, but more about badness.
Thank you very much. Lolu mo
I
nek
don't
trend.
compete
So
each
xolé
other.
ñun social media daf ñu ya ba pare tam film movie ni ak yoy non ñoy gis
Music.
outside
Influence.
Gambia soko xolé Gambia tay lu trend outside di circulate outside Gambia daf ko dé emulate instantly mu copy ko mu def
Yeah.
tey soo ñëwoon fii nii yaa ngi jaay gerte tey wala léegi Gambia foo dem yëpp ku nekk am nga jaay gerte nii because na business maa ngi dox wala time yi popcorn rek everybody am nañ machine yi popcorn di jaay ci because it was trending so da nga jàpp ne Gambia ñun noonu leen mel we just like to emulate
that
copy
trend.
things
Yeah.
ñu jël ko into our own self waaye ñun suñu bopp sax xam nga
This country have a big problem.
But
Mass,
before,
bro.
Very
big-
before you
ba pare soo xoolee jigéen ñi ñoom ñoo gën a am problème soo xoolee go to social media there is no woman who is showing talent
no
or qualities but ku nekk sex
thank you very much yëngal wala
Understand?
solu tight wane sa yaram
what they are in love with things that doesn't impress us
No.
they are all after bag bu nice
Wow.
pocket bu nice men don't look after those things wig bu nice
Definitely.
boy sister yi ñoo am problème
over
sister yi
ñoom seen life dafa métti de
foog naa ñuy
non ñoom seen life dafa métti de
yeah but at
because
least
boy,
boy, put them checks, every
waaye booy léegoo-léegi nga cappa daily dose génna di la génna wan ma benn si TikTok bi rek benn jigéen Gambian bu def lu fruit
positive
su jaayut xeesal mu ngi jaay slim tea su jaayut slim tea mu ngi boy
jaay yu dee dugal seen bagage yi nii
And none of this is regulated. I'm sure there's
Wow,
laws
but
that prohibit people from selling untested drugs, untested
Thank you
chemicals.
very much.
It's chemical.
Yeah, you know-
and they're
you
mixing
know-
in themselves. Lomo
Yeah,
can agarao.
exactly. Some of them are selling some chemicals that need to be controlled.
Yeah.
So once you arrest those people, the community will even come for you.
That's what I'm saying.
because of
Even look at this, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, us building this rehabilitation center at Tranquil.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've seen on social media that the community at Tranquil were against us building a rehab center at that particular
Which is
place.
Look at
and they have to road to us ECOWAS, and then we had a consultation with them. We trying to make sure that we people that are into drugs, we help them. Other countries,
They
it
rehabilitate.
is the communities that we even try to do this. But now we as law enforcement officers are trying to help those that are addicted to this substance, and now you against that trying to, sometimes it's crazy, Gambia, you don't even understand. If you try to help people, then they try to bring in others.
we are not Gambians. One thing is disturbing us. We are not patriotic. Gambians, normal Gambians, especially youth, they don't love this country. Cause you are like new feeding you are again.
I mean, for me, there's no reason for some people. I think the argument is there's no reason to love your country. Like, what has your country done for you?
No,
like honestly,
as a citizen, there are two ways. What has the country done for you, or what have you done for your own?
okay. Look, I think there's
the country makes you.
two things can be
country
true.
doesn't do anything
Two
for
things
you
can
and
be
you
true,
back.
but it's human nature. You are grateful to something that benefits you, right? If you go to countries like Senegal, there are programs that are helping the youth, that are empowering the youth. There's access to capital for startup businesses. There's so many incentives in place where youth can benefit from. So it will be natural for those people to feel very grateful towards their country, hence being patriotic. In Gambia, how many government skill centers do you have to cater for the population?
No, you're right.
Yeah. No,
The last time I saw someone saying
skills.
Gambian youth them lengen jangi meche, right? And I heard that, I'm like, fan la gay deme jangi meche.
Thank you. No, why come set look Gambia, we did not have soon schooling system be structure we need, didn't have space for all those things. Concentrate on Gambia, we are most concentrating in academics. Mota I saw them into schooling when your grades are not good. Your sabahobi is that dumb. You're come to make in life. Ñun Gambia non la lota nga chabane kay boy man suma boy bahut boy si janga boy ni. So you feel ne come the street or something else moy lolu. Ba pare tam we time bobu nonu sa if you tell your child wala nga ne da nga yobu sa dom si carpentry wala ni mo haru mo ko ginal sa. Wala parent bo wax lolu sa dom sa métier sa nu domam bi stupide sa dula faale. Ba legi most of the Gambians are going into skills and
I think we need to we need to advocate for that. It happens to me at our village. We have a bakery there. We do not have anybody to bake bread for us.
But
we have to go and look for somebody to come.
All of this is
So
happening
I think
because
we
of
need
the
to
culture of
advocate for that.
entitlement.
Let people learn skills so that
As a Gambian right now, man.
it is not only at the four corners of the classroom that everybody should be.
No, that's-
Obviously,
that's what
others
I'm saying.
should
It's
learn
all-
skills so that things can be
All of
decentralized.
this could be
Yeah,
back to entitlement.
the country or a government or the state have different sectors that has to be fed. Mota it come all these skills and all these things here new into place. So government be want to focus in one side. That's why come most of these youths here graduate university and wonder where are you going to work.
But also, like I'm saying, all of this is because of the sense of entitlement.
Dinga am
Because also culture be from yang neka hale like noko here. So I think belegi time bobu belegi. So watch your school, hale so watch your school. What you're expected to do is more nga dem dara. So watch your dara and then play football si konbi nga dem ñibi. And then yangi grow nonu be nga jahal school. That's the right way to grow. So jahale school amulo meche amulo dara. And then but then still so everywhere dinga am dewo. Dinga am reer, dinga am añ si kër bi. And you grow up entitled to that.
Dependency.
So ñun tamit so nga gisee ne well society we grew up like that in the society. Other countries don't have that privilege.
Thank you very much.
But ñoom tamit from early gaaren de génn gaaren di liggéey whereas we don't have to work to survive to survive or to have somewhere to
xoolal
sleep.
suñ mbokki mawbe.
waaye loolu daf dee xew on a family level. ñun suñ boobu dañ ko dee maintain on a family level. waaye soo ñëwee comme saa lu mu wax fii. we always ask what can you do for your country. waaye sa country mooy di foundation moom moo war a start something for you to be able to do something for him. soo seetee nga nekk in a country. pour nga feel entitled ne yow borom dëkk waa dëkk boobu nga. pour nga mun a baakoo dafa am symptoms. ok yow yaa ngi si dëkka sa school da nga ko fay ba pare soo fayee soo demee ba si classroom bi is not healthy. wàcca nga school boss booy duga da ngaa fay waaye it's not healthy. understand ñibbi nga si kër bi that's your family responsibility. There is no government bi even national ID card you have to pay for it. Passport you have to pay for it. So you are already doing for your country because there is nothing free that the country put on the table for you. léegi yow su nekkee ne da nga turn around amuloo as a footballer amuloo benn fu government bi créer nga xam ne mun nga faa dem jël football dem train. musicien mënuloo dugg anywhere rek jël instrument nga play. mënuloo am like QCity government amuñ QCity nga xam ne su ma buggee def show I don't need to pay. I just have to go and ask for permission. So léegi yow sa bugg a dëkk dafa des.
And all you have to look at, just look at the annual budget of the government. It just shows you.
Wow.
I mean, and look, there's a lot of things that the government is doing which is commendable, and I think we do have to recognize good things that they're doing. I mean, I've been following the drugs squad, and sometimes I see the updates, and it makes me happy to see that okay, these guys are actually taking this issue serious and they do something about it, right? So there are things that they're doing that is commendable.
Yeah.
But also there's a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want people to love your nation, the nation has to love you, right? The nation has to do for you. We're not saying like just give hands out and feed people for free and do all of these things for free, because then who's paying for that? That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is build a vocational centers, right? Make sure like schooling. Government school is free, but it's terrible. There's teachers, even the teachers don't know how to teach. Have programs where you're teaching the people that are teaching the kids to know how to teach, right? There's a lot of small things that you can do that has a massive impact. But if you look at the government budget, most for me, from what I've seen, most of it is just going to administrative costs, salaries and utilities and whatnot. It's like the government is maintaining itself. At a crazy level. The costs are just insane, and then it's like the rest. Okay, it doesn't work. I cannot love my country if there's nothing my country is doing for me. But in the other way around, I'm paying taxes. There are no public utilities that are free. Electricity bills are going up. Food prices are going up. How can I love my country?
Okay. Yeah.
It's a very difficult. It has to be balanced. Like if I come halfway, you need to meet me halfway.
What you're saying is true. You understand? Government become there are certain places that they are lacking in. But one thing is, government is just to create a conducive environment for you to settle things you can strive in. Léegi leneen lu si des, you have to put in the work pour lan la nga mun a contribute pour loolu noonu yëpp mun.
Give an example.
Léegi government bi fii we based on what taxation ak yooyu noonu, we are not importing again, we are not exporting again or everything. We based on everything importing. Every project you want to do, you have to tax from your people, you have to take from this, you have to beg or go and borrow. So pour mu def yenn yi dafa métti ba pare tam if a government of the country is richer than the state, there's a big gap and there's a big problem.
Yeah, but that's exactly what's
léegi
happening.
blame bi yëpp dafa dem si government bi du dem si you understand state bi you understand so léegi da nga capane léegi state bi suñ ëppee government bi xaalis, you can easily conduct or manipulate. Lotal America, if you go there, the state is richer than the government and the state tells the government what to do. That's why I come so I'm there that 600 electoral votes don't want to nega president. No matter what, so massive BMU voter, like they don't care about that. Them see Angleterre, they have all these structures put in place. That is Senegal, Nigeria, come. There are loopholes for come they are not fitting. Why come they were aware before. Come since then all these sectors of government, they want to make sure they would strive with them. All these departments, skill department, they make sure they come strive with them. Ñun Gambia, we are not come telu no jokes load. Ghana tam same thing. Kwame Nkrumah la fa ñew gaay janga up to JJ Rollins mu ne len comme légui ñu pause that academic meaning légui ñu jël janga bobu yëm ñu def ko productive. You understand? You start the produce, you start the deflini, you start the you them. Fini comme legi tanena. Local NGOs ak yenena you get jungle youth see come every year you have badges of youth with ranges of skills.
Yeah, PIE,
you understand?
National,
yeah.
NY,
ranges of
SS
skills.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Said I'm on
Do you know the problem with skills is Kini?
Yeah.
You can have as much skills, right? Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But the SMEs, which is the backbone of the country, a lot of families are benefiting from SMEs, but they don't have access to capital. They don't have access to tax-free loans.
So,
right?
Problem.
So for you to start a business,
Yeah.
you have to raba.
No.
And for you to maintain a business, you have to raba.
Because all these institutions, then they are made fund for youth. Even company, I
they never come to this.
Don't ko leral, don't ko wax te so ñëwé sa pour laté phone bobu nonu. Dañoo bëggal liggéey ci yow from that money pour li understand pour gars am si dara otherwise
mais project yooyu gis around
Sénégal
like,
fii
bro.
rek Sénégal
Yeah.
sax soo buggee Sénégal
Yes.
soo buggee leb si banque bi it's so easy pour
As a
nga
youth.
leb 200,000 Sénégal
what collateral
no even not
No.
say collateral is not like
No,
Gambia
no.
they don't need your house paper
No.
they don't need that
okay
Gambia rek nga bugg a baxa ñu ne la isil kër bu waxuñ la kayit you have to bring a lease
yeah land you see
yow ku amul ndéewoo kooku naka la moo amee access to a land lease document so léegi ñun amuñ ñun ji nga ñun yu si Gambia
Yeah.
amuñ start up
waaw
comme ça nu mu waxee yow yaa dee rabaro ba am certain amount
dëgg la
nga putin ko somewhere
Yeah.
pour grow
yeah
ba pare business bi tamit is not speeding
not
because we
strength,
have
it's not strength.
population problem nit yi bariwuñ
yeah
so léegi su dëkk bi demee noonu youth si dañoo teel a daw génn dëkk bi xosul bi yëpp loolu la de
ñëpp a bëgg a génn.
yëpp hustle la.
Everybody
yëpp
man
loolu la.
man lu ma gis ne comme ñun Gambian dafa bugga lu gaaw
no
Gambian dafa bugga in bulk
that's
more
true.
than
Fast
process
money. No, dëgg
fast
boy
money.
ku nekk ay man maa ngi nii man
Ay,
maa ngi
fast
bëggoon a
money.
man
But
maa ngi woon
there's-
into business
am nga lu
There's a
waral
root cause. There's a root cause to
am
that.
nga lu waral loolu
There's a root cause.
am nga lu waral loolu
Society.
ñun number one yaruñu as a patriotic ñun ku nekk dañ lay yar pour nga dem school soo wàccee nga dimbale sa parents yi nga tukki nga ñëw dimbale sa parents yi
Jeena.
so this subject of country we have not been taught inside
Aha,
léegi loolu innocent la ñun yëpp ñu ngi innocent about that
that's true
so but then it's different comme original Gambian bi koo xam ne nii he doesn't go through all this European segment
yeah
nu moo dundee is more even accurate than ku dem through all these things
thank you loolu tax ñun Gambia we have educated illiterates ñoo xam ne ni comme xam waa educated illiterates comme xam jànga yooyu noonu yëpp boo sa jànga bi productive bi ba pare mun loo ñu fatal dara mun loo ñu jàppale si dara
am na ku ma wax ne de problème yi loolu Gambian bu gën a educated say nga dem nga have the highest level of education outside say for example even NAWEC soo ñëwee yow yaa war a ñëw nga dem try pour make yëpp
Change
yow
loolu
doon
noonu.
dem da nga feel big si office bi ngay toog
non waaye tamit sax soo fa ñëwee sax si biir nawet bi which changes lo fii am na ñaata Gambien ñoo xam ne ñu jógee neen fële nii ak seen xam-xam ak ñaata Gambien yoo xam ne jànga neen fekk leen si position yoo xam ne nii benn significant innovation sax pour change that institution sax zero
because you don't want to get involved in the dirty work and
non waaye nekk loolu what yoo jànga is not that productive su productive on soo ñëwee loolu nga njëkkaat defi
because jànga bi 90% bi yëpp is theory
ceena ta
African bi practical bi dañu ko ndogo bañ dee
even government sax
You
pour govern et dëkka sakatuma Gambia booy nekku ne comme affaire yi paper la affaire yi yooyu noonu booy comme calculator comme
realities yi rek
realities what do people want lan la gaay nit lan la gaay di soxla nga defal ko
I mean, the issues in Gambia, again, I mean, they brush on tuuti. The government is the people ultimately, right? Come, problem in Gambia, so ko study what ang boho meet.
no definitely
Honestly,
It's very-
but if they made sa boho, man,
yeah
try
No,
to
them
create
guys-
better
We
citizens
can talk here until tomorrow. We will not be able to
I'm
finish.
telling you, this
No,
this
no,
country
why?
is
So-
problems.
Gambia dañu am problème yi nit
thank you very much
suñ bopp ak
loolu la
Yeah, individually we need to change our attitude.
We do, we definitely do.
Yes.
We absolutely
Unless
do.
and until we change our
Try to be
attitude,
better people.
the country will not move.
number
forward.
one number one ñu jàngal xale yi civic education number two ñu jàngal leen patriotism pour gars yi mun a patriotique
Yeah.
but it's very easy
Gambia,
man
I mean,
I
even-
don't know why politicians wala comme koto yi nii di struggle pour ñu dimbale Gambia
Diglul, you know, you're talking about the average citizen to be patriotic, right? Even government officials are not patriotic.
No, they
Man,
are-
you know, that's one thing I don't.
People.
That's one thing that I don't understand. You travel overseas as a government official, right? You're very comfortable. You live in a proper hotel. You have your good per diems. You have all of that, and you see these beautiful streets, the nice buildings. You see how things are just functioning, and you come home, and you're like, you don't want that for your country,
'Cause you wanna go
and you're
back
in a
and get
position
that
of power to
money.
do.
to change it
they don't know how
But
The
it's
party of
you know what's
Islam, you wanna
crazy?
go back for
but they
it.
don't know how
It's actually crazy because the last time I traveled and I met with one government official at Fini. No, it was at Morocco,
Okay.
right? And talking because he saw me and you study what and he realized the Gambia la and want to make Gambian and they this mission la them on Turkey. And we just discussing about Gambian issues and Kirib Karabikan Hamud. and the guy was just complaining about the problems of Gambia and some of the things that he's complaining. He's under his ministry. I'm like,
So you did not ask him, what are you doing?
you know, I have not started the show by then, so sometimes you don't want to like push it too much because you don't want people to feel offended. That was a fault on my end. But again, ultimately, if I ask him that question, what's gonna change? You know?
Yeah, it's
I forgot his name.
Capitalism bi la.
It's so
You people ñoo dee try ñu manage ñoom ñu enrich themselves and enrich themselves more and the population.
Unless and until we change our attitude.
We have to.
I guess
We have.
And it have to be every individual.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
From our homes to our offices
Absolutely.
to the last individual in the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If we don't do that, this country is not going to move.
100%.
Definitely.
Yes.
100%.
To be honest with you.
Man, one thing I believe that come today, basically, come former president will have push that agenda. What both on our definitely come lila. Come agriculture, go to the farming, grow what you eat. Like no. Mu la ne legi come government we support strategy yeb ñu def pipes yeb ni ñu am land bo xamne mu nga fa bay. Yen citizen yi ngeen ñëw ngeen def sen factories. Ngeen lan manufacture ngeen produce.
You go to
start to sell locally, internationally.
You go to CRL South and North, it's all fresh water.
You see?
Yeah.
Before we sending people to Mile 2 and the government is the one feeding them.
Thank you very much.
Every month, how many millions of dollars are you spending on people
exactly.
in Mile 2?
But
Okay, CRL South and North, from
Yeah.
Siahali Pajar to Kuntaur, and it's all fresh water.
Yeah.
So you can use that.
Gambia is one of the most blessed
prison
lands.
officers, okay,
It's a virgin land for prosperity.
Okay, the law enforcement official.
Yeah.
Today,
You help
every
the
kid.
prison officers.
Yeah.
Anybody who is arrested and then you said you're going to be sentenced for a month or a
Agriculture.
year.
Yeah.
Okay, you are going to be cultivating rice. The government will not import rice into the country.
Thank you very much.
And the price of rice is going to go down.
Decrease.
Rice,
Yeah, that's-
importing rice in Gambia is haram.
Billahi.
You have countries that are completely barren,
Yeah.
right?
And they produce it.
Their land is not suitable for agriculture. They have no fresh
Agriculture
water,
is not
but they're
encouraged
exporters
in
of
Africa,
agricultural
really
produce,
encouraged.
right? So
Can you grow sugar in Africa?
Sugar
do you mean?
from sugar cane.
Sugar cane.
the biggest
Are we
produ-
allowed to
even
grow
if-
sugar?
the biggest producers of sugar
That's what
are
I'm
Brazil,
saying.
and we have similar
Are we
climate and
allowed
similar
to grow
soil.
sugar? Are we
Yeah,
allowed to?
it come back to what we were saying. It's if you try it, you will be stopped.
That's true. That's
process what
unfortunate
sugar?
truth.
You
Just
try to
grow it and
grow
process it.
sugar in Africa.
That's the unfortunate.
Yeah, no,
process it.
At Senegal, I think that they have in somewhere near Casamas where they have theirs.
Our government has been hijacked by people with money.
With money.
That's the fact.
No, the
And I will
government.
stand on that and
is
I will
being
say that.
controlled by the higher government, which is there.
Yeah.
Because
so we all know.
there are other
Yeah.
products they use to compensate other people.
You see?
See how they all work.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
use South America, Brazil to compensate because they have no resources and they're poor countries. So those are the people allowed to be exporting and importing rice and sugar.
Any country that imports more than it exports and it survives on loans, that country is doomed.
If you try it,
Like it's a problem that
But
we are going to
bro,
inherit. Our kids are going to
Gambia.
inherit. Our
I'm very
grandkids are going to inherit.
Yeah, so sorry.
So anyway, man, that must be Gambia.
Lena Lahama, abridging every Gambia, most of
we
the
will
Gambian
definitely
houses.
come back.
I know.
Bro.
Yeah.
And
Most of the
this
Gambian
was-
houses you go, I'm not gui. It's either gui mango or gui sorans. So legi lol every season. Kër boobu noonu war na moo liggéey xaalis from that gui mango.
But you
wala
get
gui
dog
sorans.
you like you get grow flowers.
I guess
So how many
by-
companies and factories are out there in the world that need this?
Anyways, bro.
We have a long way to go.
I know.
But then I
Oh,
guess
man.
when you're Jahali,
Oh,
I think
definitely.
it would be
lii
necessary
comme lu ko
to
saay
have
waxee
another-
la di dañ ko war di wax everywhere.
Thank you very much.
Oh, definitely we have
So lii problème in nit la boy. Like we have a problem as a country.
That's very true. Yeah.
Ku nekk su toogee mu eliminate 5% am yu bon yi rek
Mooy dëkk bi fa dem ma ñaaka suba.
boy rang sax mënuñoo rang demal National Stadium 35,000 nit la day jël yóbbu fa 100 nit pour ñu dugga they will still scramble.
Scramble, yeah, definitely. That's true.
Yeah.
Because
So let me
nun
now
de
go
yoge
to-
moo garaaw bro.
But before
Nun
you
yoga moo
end-
meeti.
before you end, I just want to have one last thing touched on before we go.
Okay.
So within the conversation, you mentioned, say, in Mel 2, up to 70% of the inmates are through
Because of drug-related.
drug-related, and mostly would be cannabis and all. We're in 2025 now. The people who told us cannabis is illegal, have legalized it in their
Thank
countries.
you.
They're using it medically. Their countries are making a lot of money out of it, and a lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
So if you're saying in 2025 in Gambia, 70% of the people in Mile 2 are there through this, have there been any conversations or talks towards not legalization, I would say, but decriminalization? Because same crime that someone is spending 5 years or 10 years in jail in Gambia, someone is freely
Working
with it.
Yeah. That's very
Outside of
true.
I mean, it's legal. You can even have it on the street and just smoke.
yeah.
You know, when it comes to drugs, you think globally and act locally. The 27 states in America where cannabis is legalized, you know, America cannot be compared to the Gambia. And when ever you legalize cannabis, there are people that are using it, and you need to go follow these people. There are others that are injecting, using drugs, not so. You as a government, you need to go or follow these people, and then so that they can change their strands and other stuff that they use to use these drugs. So in the Gambia here, there was an organization that came in and then wanted to decriminalize cannabis. I think they have a conversation with the government, but it did not go. So I'm not sure the Gambia we are ready for that.
If alcohol, if weed is a criminal offense, alcohol should equally be a criminal offense. And I think
Well,
if we're going to be fair, it has to be across the board.
Well, if you look at it in a brighter side, even if you decriminalize it, look at Casamas. They're growing everything, but they prefer to drink alcohol than to smoke.
Customers, they will even tell you that.
Speaking of that, Jinack,
Yeah, Jinack.
All the cannabis come to.
can you comment on Jinack? This is
I don't know how
Have you ever been to Jinack?
talk about it, but
I've
we
never
have not
been.
to Jinack.
But I was in Jinack for 2 good years before I joined the drug law enforcement.
Okay.
agency.
What's about Jinack?
I was working with NGO, Effective Intervention,
okay.
and my intervention, I used to go to Jinack to do monitoring there. 2 good months. Yes, Jinack. Basically it is cannabis that is going
Yeah, man.
anywhere you go to, it is cannabis that you.
But why is it? Is
So,
it legal within Jinack to grow cannabis,
so
or-
that is what they're growing. I don't know.
You're fighting to say anything.
They said it is only cannabis that can be grown because the place is all sandy.
Yeah.
So these white people, when they go there, they will even remove their shoe and walk barefooted.
does drug law enforcement have any?
So the drug law enforcement agency, I'm not sure, because they have this notion that you as an official, you need not to go to Jinack. But once you go there,
No, yeah.
I don't know whether they also have these concussions. I don't know. So officials don't go there. But what we do is we set an ambush. But most of the time, I was in Jinack for 2 good years. The cannabis does not come to the Gambia. It is only few that they transport to the Gambia. It is normally these Senegalese that will come there late at night and they smuggle it into.
Wait, is Jinack in Gambia?
You know, it's an island. 2 of the communities are in Senegal and the 2 other communities are
within
in
the
Gambia.
island?
Huh?
Within
Yes.
the island.
So where's who has
The Jinack,
right
the
over the
Kajata,
country
and the
line?
Niji are in the Gambia. So the Bara and the other one is in Senegal.
Oh, so parts of it is in Senegal and parts of it in...
2 villages are in Senegal and the 2 villages are in the Gambia.
So okay, it's in one one island. There's
yes,
like a line that
yes,
splits
yes,
it in half.
Exactly. So the other
So
2
this
is-
side that's the Gambian side.
Yeah, all those ones grow
Even in
cannabis.
Senegal?
The Senegalese don't grow, but the ones in the Gambia.
So it's the Gambian side that grows cannabis.
they grow cannabis.
So what does the law say about that? I mean, it's illegal ultimately.
Obviously.
Then why is it?
I don't know why the drug law enforcement.
Mr.
officers
Sanya,
haven't
you have to
go
make
in
that.
there.
I'm
But
not saying
I
what-
know they said, yeah, you know what we call alternative livelihood.
Okay.
This is what they completely depend on.
For what? For business?
Yes, for survival.
Survival.
Like where do they sell it?
people come and then buy it and then they go.
But it's
The market
illegal.
is already
From
there.
what I understood,
It's illegal.
doesn't
The
mean
market is already there.
No, but
Once they cultivate it and they harvest, people will come and then sell
but
it.
does the law consider? I mean, you could argue as a drug dealer. This is my
So
livelihood.
what we are gonna do is, what we call alternative livelihood.
Okay.
Their life completely depends on this. So if the government need to do something, they have to bring in something and say, okay, this is it.
on the
Yes, this is what you have to, because their life completely depends on
And
this.
then you mentioned it's the
So
only thing
obviously
that
there
grows
should be
on
what
the
we call
island.
alternative livelihood. Give them this to
Replacement.
replace as a replacement.
As an example,
So the Drug Law Enforcement Agency has the right to
But they-
advise the Ministry of Agriculture. So samples of the sand has been taken to see what other crop or what other vegetable can be grown in Jinack apart from cannabis.
okay. So my question now is, if I go to Jinack and I buy weed, and I leave Jinack, will I be arrested?
Of course, we arrest people every day.
How does that make sense?
Every day, people are arrested
Oh,
around
man,
Bara that are
it's
coming
crazy.
from
From
Jinack.
Jinack.
Oh, man, that's
Every
crazy.
day,
We
people
just
are
know the
arrested.
factory
So-
is there, but me cool.
No, one thing to understand there.
Every day, people are arrested. From
But
Jinack.
also, there is a traditional story involved.
Yeah.
Which they say.
No, I understand. I definitely.
that is the back.
Gandu,
I know the story there. I know the
Gandu, you
tradition.
go to Jinack, you find bag of rice at the riverside. Nobody will dare go and steal these properties.
But the law doesn't put into consideration superstition, right? The law is the law.
The law has no excuse.
Afraid of the-
So this, we're still investigating. As I mentioned, we have the right to advise the Ministry of Agriculture so that they can do the needful. Because everywhere you go to, people will ask you, but the people of Jinack will tell you that don't talk about this.
Okay.
I don't know what
My
are
question
they
is,
sitting on.
are you saying?
It's cool. Thank you.
I don't know what are they sitting on.
Are you saying drug squad is too scared to go into Jinack and do something?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Police in uniform, dal. No.
To close this, the only dose you need is daily dose. Like.
Definitely.
Thank you guys so much, man.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
too.
Yeah.
Definitely we'll have
This
a
has been
follow-up
good.
of this.
Yeah.
Definitely we need more of this at least
Absolutely.
to just bring back the youth, I guess.
Definitely.
Thank you so
A
much.
very different thing.
Right. No, for sure, man.
Yeah.
No. It was
100%.
very nice.
Good job, man.
The man jangalu very nice.
Yeah.